Well, now that we're speculating about her hair touching his back, is he feeling her breath on his back? Her warm breath?
I think so.
Emily, I'm not gonna lie, when you first said breath, I thought you said breasts, and I was like, her
That's
breath.
what I thought. I thought you said that. You didn't say that?
I heard breath.
Oh, no, breath.
I heard breath.
Oh,
Don't
I
worry,
heard
I got
breath.
you.
Oh, I mean, her breasts could also be on his back.
You know what? I'll take that one too.
Welcome to The Story Thinker, a Webtoons and Witcher podcast for superfans with scene-by-scene analysis. Featuring sharp co-hosts for a fuller picture, we dive deep into character psychology, relationships, and theories. We'd love it if you could like, subscribe, comment, and rate us on all podcast platforms and social media. For bonus content, you can support The Story Thinker on Patreon. Let's begin.
Okay, everyone, here we are. We are at basically the best episode of Purple Hyacinth, also known as episode 136, Gnarly Guilt.
And the much awaited 136.
Yep.
The one that
out in
told
history.
everybody to fast pass.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, I think we need to start off with something special. Like, I think we need to start off with like a collective showing of emotion of how we felt last night.
Oh my God.
Verbally describe it. Okay, let's just do our non-verbal reaction. Ready?
Oh,
Okay,
God.
here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Also, but also
Tears.
Yeah, okay.
Put the
actually, that
phone
was-
down. Yeah, I had to put the phone down for a second.
yes.
Yeah, before we started recording, I was saying I'm not much of a crier. I'm working on that in my life. I grew up with it not being seen as like very healthy or socially acceptable to cry. You know, had the typical parent that was like, stop crying, stop crying. Working on that. But this is the first webtoon of any episode or any series I've read that legitimately made me tear up. Like, I think it was the combination of the music and the dialogue and just everything. But I went upstairs and I was like, babe, I'm actually crying over this episode right now. And then I made him read it. And he's like, yeah, that was really good. But, oh, killed me. Absolutely killed me. Even just rereading it to take notes, I was like, oh.
I know.
I reread it like 4 times, I think.
Yeah,
like,
same.
Mm-hmm.
I reread it today when I was like, after I finished my work for the day, I sat down and was like, let's open that up again. And it opened up on your background, Mindy.
I
was
know.
like,
Oh, God.
Oh God, the
Yes.
best panel.
The
One of the best.
most
I mean, every
important
panel. We'll get to that. We can. This could easily be 2 hours. I feel like.
my record is 2
Yeah.
hours, 45 minutes for recording here, I think. So
Oh,
get
my
it.
gosh. Okay.
it was finale, season 2 finale. We
Right.
had to go hard.
Oh, then you had to.
Oh, yeah, Emily, how was your reaction?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I definitely had to take a break. But my favorite panel, I mean, when he touches the drawing of her or the sketch of her, that killed me. That was the scene where I took a break because I
Nice.
thought that was just such like a beautifully like framed scene, and it was so almost like cinematic, I think. And
Oh
then
my God, yeah.
like the blood on his hands coming back, but it's just charcoal. Like that was just amazing. Yeah, the episode.
Cinematic's a good word for it. Cinematic's a really good
Yeah,
word.
it was very cinematic. And I thought last week was my favorite episode. And then this week, I think.
And now it's just easily been.
Yeah, it's this one for sure. I see why the author said
Ugh.
Pass
This
past
is
the
my
next
this
two
is my new
episodes.
favorite heavy episode. That's for sure. Because this
Yeah.
this was a lot.
Oh, absolutely. And I definitely teared up for a moment. I mean, it wasn't the first Webtoon episode I've teared up at,
Oh,
but it's only happened twice. And this is the second time.
was the other one Purple Hyacinth?
No, it was Midnight Poppyland.
They separated?
100. No, episode 100 when
Oh,
he
okay.
does the flashback
Yeah.
of like how he like would have wanted to meet her.
Oh, okay, that one. Yeah, I didn't hear it,
Yeah.
but that one got me in the
Yeah, that was actually the first one, and I was like, okay, so this is added to the list now.
Aw.
For me, I didn't cry or tear up or anything for this one. Like, I think it was so much and so many different emotions. I kind of didn't know, like, physically how to react to it in a way. And only one webtoon has ever made me cry before, and that was Castle Swimmer. There was like a sequence of episodes, and I was binging it again. So not when I first read it, but I was rereading the whole thing. And it was like this series of episodes in the second season that go into like these flashbacks to one of the characters' pasts. And it was just so gut-wrenching, and I couldn't help but like cry. and I had made my roommate read it as well, and she was like, I was crying so much in that. I was like, me too, like last
Castle
night.
Swimmer. I haven't heard of that one.
Well, Castle Swimmer, my
Castle
accent.
Swimmer.
It's Mermaid Boys.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Um,
I think it's
okay.
by another.
It's so good. It is one of the best webtoons, I will say. It's on hiatus right now.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, I read it before Purple Hyacinth, actually. So, but like days before I found Purple Hyacinth, I found Castle Swimmer. So
Oh,
relative. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
I had
how
a
did you
hard
react?
time reading the torture. I had to like put it down for a little bit because it was like,
Just
wow,
get
like
you.
it was very tough.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that was the hard part for me. And
I mean, we knew Kieran's backstory was going to be rough.
Yes.
Like, this is not news to anybody.
Yeah.
I guess I knew it was going to be really rough, but I guess I didn't realize how much it would,
Like how
how much it was going
and it
to.
was such like a small glimpse too, but it was just enough to like destroy
Yeah,
our
just these small snippets. But then I think
Yeah.
it was just, like you said, Emily, like cinematic. It was the imagery also combined with his dialogue going into him basically, I mean, let's be honest, realizing that he's in love with Lauren. Like, let's just call a spade a spade.
oh well,
Man's in
I don't
love.
think he realizes, but
He's
we'll
like,
get
what
to
is
that.
this feeling?
Yeah,
And
he's
I'm
like, I always want to be around her. I don't get it.
he's like, I don't know what this feeling is. I'm like, bruh, have you never seen a rom-com? No, I guess
It's because
not.
he's never been in love, guys.
He's
He
never
doesn't
been
know,
in
and he's
love.
emotionally stunted.
Yup.
Oh,
Ugh,
our baby.
no.
Let's
That's why it's
let's get
like-
into it because
Okay.
we're like talking about it before we.
I
even-
know, like way ahead. Just, I mean, it's just my thoughts and emotions are all over the place, so that's
Right.
fine.
I'm already sad just opening up.
I know.
All right, so we start out and Lauren says, "All done," just a little smile on her face, and then we see them.
Oh, the bed! The bed! Who else screamed? There's a bed there.
Yeah.
People were surprised. I was like, "You saw the bed as soon as
No, we've
episode,
seen the
don't you
bed
like
in
to
the
see?"
yeah, but they're on it now. They're
Right.
on
I
the
know,
bed.
they have gone
Yeah.
to the bed.
We've never known that the bed would be used. Like, it's kind of like there was no lead up to the bed. It's just like, oh, let me help
No,
you with
that's
the
what I'm
kitchen.
saying,
Think
you
you're
know,
gonna
she
sit
was
down
like-
or something. They're on the
Yeah.
bed. It's
She was
like,
standing next to him and was like, I'll help you. And maybe she like started doing something and you go, oh, this is awkward. We need to like sit down somewhere. They couldn't go to a table or a chair. They had to go to the bed. They had
Thank
to walk
God.
over. And she's
I
all
just realized-
cross-legged. She took off her coat. This girl is comfy.
you know what I think is the thing, because back when she patched him up in like what 27, when she first like patched him up and we saw his back for the first time,
Yeah.
they were standing up and she didn't have to do stitches. So I think in my mind, or maybe other readers' minds, they were like, oh, she's just gonna like stand up right there, and they'll be like, what I thought it would be is be right after, like she's like, let me help you, and then we might get like the montage of her like fixing him up again in this one.
Mhm.
But no, we're on the bed.
You need a nice steady surface to do sutures. That's all I'm
There's a
saying.
lot of stitches. Even she had to like redo like probably 3 or 4 stitches or something.
At least a couple. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was a decent little section. So like I'm thinking 2 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So-
it shows so much that he trusts her on the bed, that they're both comfortable on the bed.
Yeah.
Like his position is very relaxed. He's leaned
They,
over.
they
his
both
hands
are. She's
Her
not
face is
she's
so
not awkward
Yeah,
or
like she's
stiff.
like
She's not-
cross-legged on the bed. Yeah, like it's very relaxed, and even though he's looking away from her, it's still like very open. At least in like this moment.
Like if they were an actual couple in canon at this point, like this is the kind of body language they would still have.
Mhm.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
At
Mm.
ease with each other.
Yes.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking now it reminds me of like, yeah, how my husband and I are comfortable like that.
Mhm.
That's amazing. already can't get over it. Ah, so good. So she's snipping, and now we see Kieran's face, and he's contemplative. You can tell he's
Melancholy?
contemplating. Yeah.
Pensive, if you will.
Pensive.
Yeah, very thoughtful. Yeah.
There we go. Match made in heaven. Both have pensive eyes. Oh, and now she reaches out and she touches and puts her hand on his scar, on his
Emily,
shoulder.
we got the caress.
We got
Oh
the
my
We got the
shoulder pad.
caress.
That's all I needed.
And like, look at it. When she says, "What about this one?" Her hand is full on his shoulder. Full
That is
on.
a full. That is a
And
full on
she's
touch.
leaned in close. Like this
Yes.
is very
Yeah.
intimate.
Like, is he feeling her breath like
That's
on
what
his
I was
back?
saying.
Maybe.
Yes, yes.
Like her hair could like be like touching his back and stuff if she just leans in a little bit more. Like they are close.
Yeah,
And
it's
she's
like-
very, very intimate.
I can feel like if she's like, it doesn't say she's whispering, but I feel like her voice is like very soft in this moment, like because it's a very like close, like intimate scene. Like, you know, they're like, you know, like intimacy in that they're, you know, being very vulnerable around each other and they're like the
Yeah, it's
closeness,
probably
right?
like more like even under her breath, just
Well, now that we're speculating about her hair touching his back, is he feeling her breath on his back, her warm breath?
I think so.
Emily,
I
when you
concur.
first said, I'm not gonna lie, when you first said breath, I thought you said breasts, and I was like, her
That's
breath.
what I thought. I thought you said that. You didn't say
I
that.
heard breath.
Oh no, breath.
I heard breath.
Oh,
Don't
I
worry,
thought
I
you
got
breath.
you.
Oh, I mean, her
Thank you.
breasts could also be on his back.
You know what? I'll take that one too.
Oh, but what? It's an amazing advancement, and it's so good for
Yeah.
Lauren, and it's good for Kieran that Lauren feels comfortable to do that, and that Kieran isn't jumping away or anything. He's just sitting there. Oh,
Ooh,
accepting the love.
I just thought of something as well. Like, so she was just stitching him, right? Which stitches suck, as she knows. Like back when he gave her stitches back
Yeah, they
in
hurt.
37 or 38, whenever that was. Great set of episodes, iconic, love them. But so she just like hurt him, even though he probably hasn't been reacting because this man can tolerate
Has
so
been
much.
through it all. A couple stitches is like nothing.
Yeah,
To this
so
man.
but
Mhm.
still she feels like in a way like she just had to like put him through something and now she's kind of like touching him, like, and I feel like that's kind of like, you know, a reassuring thing as well, like, you know, like
Some more
I don't know.
it's like a healing touch, therapeutic.
yeah, in a way, like, you know, like, or like not even an apology but just kind of like, you know, it's done now, like
Mhm.
you good, like, I don't know, that's just nice.
A little check-in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he answers, and he stammers only a little bit, which is Kieran stammering is already, you know, if we went from like completely obfuscating, distracting, you know, sarcastic, and now he's not only, you know, not freezing and not, you know, he's actually answering her, and he's even being a little hesitant. He's like, I gave that one to myself, which just shows you he's so they've come so far in their emotional openness to each other. It's amazing to see.
Just good stuff.
Yeah, and she stops for a second, and then she's already taken her hand off of his shoulder, and it looks like she's like withdrawing it again, like she was thinking about putting it back on, and she like takes it away, but then he grabs her hand and he puts it on his shoulder again.
And she's got such a shocked face. Ah!
That sequence of panels is just amazing. Like the way the touch, like her touch goes from very gentle, you know, on his shoulder, and then she turns to, you know, move her hand, and then it goes from like gentle to urgent, and he just grabs her hand back and like puts it back on his shoulder. I love it so much.
I know,
Again, it's
right? Because
reassuring.
like we've said, they're not in a relationship at this point, and so she realizes, like, yes, there was that moment where she touched it, but they're not at that point yet. Like it would just be a little weird for it to continue to linger there. They're not at that point, and so I think she's like, you know, like, oh, okay, it's been here for a couple of seconds, let's pull it back. And you can see in that top panel, it's almost like her fingertips are like tracing the top of the scar. It's like she's curling her fingers back and it's tracing it, and she's pulling her hand back and he grabs it.
I just love the fact that like he says, I gave that one to myself, and she in her mind is probably like, oh, this is kind of like a sensitive topic, I don't really want to push him, so that's why she's pulling back. But then him taking her hand and putting it on there is kind of him saying, no, I want to tell
To
you
talk about it.
more.
Like I want you here to hear this.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
she definitely wasn't expecting that from him, because he already answered about the other scars and everything was, you know, torture and like flagellation. And so I'm sure she thought like, oh yeah, what happened? What were you doing where this guy happened? Big old square on your shoulder. So I think she was just really shocked at what he said.
Oh, that's amazing. And then the next panel we see Kieran. Oh God.
So intense.
Poor boy. See his face. And I mean, again, I have to give him so much credit. He looks determined to tell her. Like he's like, I'm gonna share this with
Get
someone,
through
and
it.
I deserve it. Like I usually, you know, he just puts himself down. He's like, I don't deserve to have love. I don't deserve to have affection. But when someone reaches out, when Kieran's reaching out and saying, I want to tell you, and you know, hear me, like put your hand on me. I want your affection. I want your closeness. that shows that he has just enough self-respect and self-love to know that he deserves it and that he's worthy of love.
Well, it also makes me wonder, has he shared this with anybody else? Like maybe Bella, but not in such a vulnerable, intimate way. Like, does she know the story of his scar and how he took it off? Like, does anybody else know this? Has he told anybody else this information?
Well,
Well,
Raphael seemed to know it, right?
yeah.
And he told the apostle, so I feel like it's pretty well known. Even
Yeah,
if he didn't tell
Other people
probably
know
other
it because they
people.
know the story, but has he shared?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know
Bella
if he's
also
known.
knows about the protectee, right? So she's like, the reason why you were in the organization in the first place is long gone, right? So why you still here? Like, so, you know, she does know on some level. I'd like to think that he might have shared it, or like she might have found out in some way, but he's never like been this like open to talking about it. And then especially to Lauren, who he doesn't really he's never done this with Lauren before, right? They've become closer, but he's never really told her much about his past other than like what she can hear from lies or like vague details until the past couple episodes, really. So yeah, there's definitely a sense of him kind of forcing himself to be open, because she's also been very open with him. He knows like a lot of what's been going on with her, not everything obviously, but a lot. So I think this is kind of a way of him repaying that.
Right. Last time in the cave, she shared with him and she opened up to him. And now it's his turn.
And we also see closer to the end of the episode, like he feels like he witnessed like an extreme vulnerability of hers that he feels like he should not have seen. So I think it's kind of an unconscious thing, but I think he's trying to almost level the playing field a little bit between them. Like, oh shit, I saw something I was not supposed to see. So like, I'm going to kind of open up a little bit here too.
That was what I thought.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? We didn't even thirst over him at all. Look at us.
I mean, I'm glad we got most of that out in the last episode, because it was very difficult to do that in this episode.
Right.
I wasn't here for that, but just know I was there like in spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
I mean,
I think
like with the way the last episode went, I definitely thought there might be maybe a little bit of spice, maybe, but then even when I just saw the episode name, like Gnarly Gill, I was like, it's the opposite.
I thought that it was going to be, I thought it was going to jump into a little bit more lightheartedness, bantery, something, then get into the deep stuff. But man, we were just in deep shit this entire episode. There was
I don't know.
That was saved for last episode. All the thirsty.
No, there was no sexy banter. There was no eyes up here detective type.
Yeah.
No, there is not even a hint.
I don't know. I had the vibe. Oh, you go ahead. I was just gonna say I wasn't here for last week's episode, but like for me, I was like, okay. For me, it felt like last week's was like, you know, getting a lot of more of the lighter stuff out of the way and kind of making way for the heaviness of this episode. Because even in the last one, when he pulls off his shirt, she notices the scar on his shoulder. So that kind of is, again, like, you know, visual storytelling of her like noticing it, and then that's going to mean it's going to be brought up another time. So like for me, I was like, okay, this is probably going to be a bit more of a vulnerable situation next time. Maybe we'll learn some things. We did, but God, did it hurt me. So there you go.
It hurts so bad.
Yeah, let's get into it. We have now his flashback, and man, it is
rough.
Yeah. I know it's got whatever. I mean, I have a hard time saying it, but whatever. That's how it is. So we see Kieran. I'm really having a hard time like saying what I'm just seeing because it's like so horrifying. I thought it was not Kieran, by the way. I thought it was because he's a little bit of like the art is a little inconsistent. So I thought this kid looks really little. And I thought it was like his little brother. And I was like, oh, it's confirmed his little brother. And I thought that the next panel where he's being held down by two people, I thought that was like Kieran because he looked older there. But anyway, that is Kieran. And he is being held down by two men. And they're like, stop moving, you little brat. And he's struggling. And there's this iron in the edge of the picture.
You guys see all the runes? There's all the runes on the wall. On the back.
That he drew, that we saw him drawing.
Yeah, so we know that he's drawing those.
Yeah, and he's in, you know, he's barefoot. He has this plain white pants and shirt, prison-y kind of thing in a cell. And we see
how long have they been there? Sorry, but like how long do you think they were held in between, like,
Capture and this. I was wondering the
Yeah.
same thing.
It makes
I
me
know.
wonder too, because I feel like, do you think he was using the runes as some kind of like passage of time?
Hmm. Interesting. Maybe that's a good idea. I like that idea.
I don't know, I feel like it represents maybe something he saw that he just needed to like reinforce in his brain. Like, I watched a couple documentaries about like kidnapping victims and how they escaped, and a lot of the times they're like, I need to remember every little detail about the things that I can notice. So I don't know, for me it's like something he's trying to like make sure he doesn't forget, reinforcing it.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's just me. I don't know if that's fact.
I
That's
can
just what
see
I
that
got from it.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know, like, since we know he was taken by accident, they must have realized right away that this is not the child they wanted.
Right.
So I mean, we find out a little bit like what he's been doing after being branded, but I'm not sure how long
Yeah.
it was until, they were
I think
doing
we can once we get to those panels, but I think we get a time jump in a little bit.
Yeah. So now we see the brand, which is red hot. It has X on it, and we see the 10th apostle, and he says, "Cannot set you free now." He's holding the brand, and behind him you see a shadowed younger figure, or looks like a smaller figure, with his legs are in chains. He's also being restrained by a person, and obviously, why is
likely
he
to be
shadowed? Why don't we get to see his hair color? I wonder.
I wonder why.
And he says, might as well put you to use. And Kieran is being held by those two men. Ugh, I literally can't look at it. It's like, it's whatever. And yeah, we don't see him being branded, but we hear like the scream and the smoke. It's really, really bad. Yeah, and the younger kid looks like he's trying to reach towards him, like his legs are kind of like running towards him as much as he can. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything to say besides for like it's horrible.
It like, I don't know, this just sent me there. Like, whenever I think of branding, I think of like, transatlantic slavery, and it just like seeing stuff like that again, it just reminds me that this used to happen to people not too long ago, and it like messes me up. Like, ugh.
It's so horrible.
Mm.
So horrible. But yeah, it does make me wonder on the timing. Like, at one point did they decide to do that? Because we jump to the next panel, and that's where I think we have a big time jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we see two children. We can guess it's Kieran and the protectee, and they are on their hands are tied up to this pole. Again, the situation is looking very barren, like very grim, cement blocks, stained. The floor is gross.
Dungeon.
And they both have, and they're both hooded, which I think is important for the plot. Actually, I want to talk about when we do some speculation. And we hear people talking. They say they've killed the 10th while trying to escape. Just like, good. At least some. Oh.
Great. We got something good out of this episode.
Yeah. And they say almost made it out of the underworld. We caught them in a dead end. So obviously, like, we know that Kieran is very capable, and this is, he's showing it really young.
Yeah.
And they almost made it out. They almost escaped, and they didn't. Oh. And now we see I guess Kieran is looking through the cloth, and we hear the person who was being talked to. So you're telling me the 10th was using them as slaves the whole time? Why wasn't I made aware of this? Okay.
So that's what makes me think there's a big time jump here, because also in the photo where we see them tied up,
a little
I
bigger.
mean, maybe it's our thing too, but Kieran looks significantly bigger. He looks like a taller, older guy, like, more of a young
Yeah. For
He
me, go ahead.
Yeah, so when in the picture when we saw him as a street artist, he already looked like 14-ish over there, and he somehow became much younger here, but whatever. Well,
that's why I feel like we still don't really know the accuracy of, like, I don't know if it's an art thing or I don't know.
I think at this point it's art, because if he was, we assume he was picked up by the ATST around that time. But yeah, so you're saying like maybe he wasn't, like,
I mean, maybe he wasn't,
but saying maybe he was let out, like maybe he was younger when he was.
Well, that's the
captured,
thing.
or
It's like, if
Yeah.
did they let him out, and then the person that was like, "Why are you always drawing, Kieran?" And he said,
Yes.
"Don't lose this." That makes it like, that line sounds like a post-captured Kieran. Why would he be saying that?
Also, we know for a fact that, because I think Soph confirmed this back when that episode first came out, 54, that he was around 16 when, during that scene where he's like, humanity can be beautiful.
Mhm.
And he was
She
17.
confirmed that he's 16 there.
Yeah, this is way back, if I remember correctly. Because I was obsessed with that panel and that episode, and I remember discussing it with people. My memory might not be correct, but I think it is. And I just remember being like, wow, that was him like 1 year before he does his first murder as the Purple Hyacinth, which I
Oh,
assumed
right.
was
Yeah,
Chandelier Man.
so that's him pre-becoming PH, post being kidnapped and turning into a slave. That's somewhere in the middle where he's getting some kind of reprieve before he's fully.
Maybe it takes place after this scene, where he gets his deal with whoever, because I assume that the person asking about it could be the protectee. We don't know. Him working for them might get him perks finally.
Ah,
Mm.
I don't pretend to understand these things.
honestly, his timeline is the most confusing thing about this.
Yeah, it's so hard to follow. I need a clear timeline.
Reddit, get on it.
Yeah. So we have a lot to talk about in terms of the people. Well, let's finish the panels and then we'll speculate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the other person says, "Oh, they weren't the only ones, but they're the only ones who survived." Whoa, how many people did you have? What the
Yeah,
heck
like, how
is
many
wrong with
kids?
you? Woo!
Hyacinth is
So
quickly becoming my least favorite character. Glad he's dead.
Oh my god! And I wonder if we're going to get to know the identity of 10, or if it'll just be like 10. Will it be a person?
since he's already dead, I don't know who
Right.
it is.
Maybe they'll show the escape like in detail in a future episode, and we can see, because I assume they'll probably take off the mask when, like, after they kill him or before. Never know.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get a big reveal, like, on who all the apostles are.
Right.
So since they said they weren't the only ones, and they're the only ones who survived, Mindy, do you think that's part of the reason why they have the coverings on their head? Do you think they're kind of throwing us like a kind of red herring thing, where like there's actually 2 different children that could be with Kieran? Like there originally was one and now there's another.
Oh, interesting. Huh. I think it's possible. I mean, I've always been like of the opinion that the 2 kids kidnapped may not even be Kieran and Dylan, like, because
It
I
could
don't know,
still
it's
not
kinda
be,
like-
even though this seems to confirm it, but it could still not be. I mean,
right. Especially his thought process later really does seem to confirm it. But I don't know. It's not like 100% explicit. It's just very, very, very heavily implied. So to me, it's like, right, like, if you don't find the body, you don't know the person's dead for sure. or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
So-
That's
Also,
out of
I
the
just
realm
feel
of,
like I
possibility.
can't trust Soph and F with anything now. They just like to fuck with us. So
Yeah.
even if they give
Oh,
us
yeah.
99% of the puzzle, I'm like, you're gonna fuck with us with the one last piece, and it's gonna be
I
Nothing
agree.
is
what we
ever
were
like
not expecting.
impossible in this world.
Right. I think like everything in the story is pointing to this kid being Dylan and like them being kidnapped at ATSD. But I think you have to leave a little bit of room for the possibility that maybe they
Yeah.
are
Oh, for sure.
leading us along.
Yeah, I agree. Like, you can theorize all you want, but the only people who knows how it's gonna end know what we know, because they see how we react.
Right.
So
Plus,
Yeah,
part of the fun is having your theories be wrong every week. You're
Oh,
like,
every
I was wrong.
every week. They're so wrong. Every week. I'm like, yep, that was completely.
And there's also like 136 episodes to remember, and you're like, I feel like a character said something, or do we know, like, does this character know this about this other character? And
I
you
know.
have to, like,
Well, now that we've gotten all this
try to
information,
scope
I'm like, God, do I need to do another reread, or do I just wait?
Right.
what I was thinking.
Seasons
I was
out?
like,
Yeah.
wait. Like, what does Kieran know?
Mhm.
I feel like we have so
Yeah.
many more clues now. We can pick up on stuff.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, it is. So I do want to do some speculation, but let's finish the panels. And the other guy continues, which we'll find out is 4, continues, most of the people you've allied yourself with are far from recommendable. You should keep a much closer eye on them if you don't want any more surprises. And the person he's talking to says, I certainly will. And now 4 says, what are we going to do with these 2? Want me to get rid of them? We can't risk releasing them. And the other one says, indeed, we can't. And they're coming closer. And he says, the damage is done. And now the other guy, who is 4, says, okay, when do you want to speculate about the other guy? Do you want to speculate about him now or after we finish this part? Because I think we'll have to talk about more with 4 and the deal he proposes.
So are we under the assumption that this is 4 and the leader that are chatting?
It's definitely 4 because 4 comes into the cell. The leader, okay, so give your guesses. Who thinks it's the leader?
I mean, it sounds like it's the leader because the 4th is telling him, like, you've aligned yourself with these people. It has to be somebody important enough that they're the one making the alliances. And he's warning him. So I feel like it needs to be the leader, but again,
there's no one else we know in between the apostles and the leader other than other apostles. So
that's what I thought. I thought it was less like, I thought it was another apostle. But I think you're right. I think it makes it seems to be talking about the leader.
Yeah. And I mean, 4 is telling who we think is the leader, like, you need to keep a much closer eye on them if you don't want more surprises. And I feel like that's the apostle telling the leader, like, trying to give him some advice, maybe.
Advice he didn't take, clearly, because he's got Redcliffe to deal with now. So
yeah. And this line is clearly intended to make this person, probably the leader, more sympathetic, right? Because he's like, oh my God, I didn't know they were being used as slaves. And his subsequent, so he sounds like innocent, but then he lets 4 say like he's going to train him as a spy and not like release them. I'm like, okay, leader, if you're moral, no, you would release them. Like,
yeah,
no.
I mean, I thought that was an interesting balance. Like, he seems to have a little bit of a moral compass left since, he's disgusted at children being turned into slaves. And it reminded me of, like, I think there was a previous line where the organization started out with good intentions. And I feel like this was maybe a case where the leader, he had good intentions. And then he was like, someone is having like a child slavering right under my nose. And I didn't even realize it.
And then he makes a decision to keep the kids. Like, he's not going to just return them to their parents, like a really moral person to do, or wherever they came from. But he's like, no, you can train him as a spy. Sure, let's keep him,
For the leader, it's very much the ends justifies the means. So even though, yes, we're supposed to sympathize with him, like, we're supposed to be sympathizing with him with whatever happened in the, past, in that flashback with what happened with the, what is it, the print shop. I mean, I think we're just kind of assuming somebody really important to him that he loved died.
Yeah.
Then, and I mean, I think he does feel for Kieran in a way, even though obviously he does nothing to correct it and puts him on this path of basically ruining his entire life. He says, this is a man, we turned his life upside down.
Yeah.
And so even though he does nothing to correct it, I think he is kind of like, oh shit, my bad.
Yeah. And if he does have a little like sympathy for Kieran, that they did turn his life upside down, Kieran maybe having a little bit of freedom, post capture makes more sense if he's like, he's still under the supervision or like the watchful eye of the leader, but the leader's like, I'll give you a little bit of freedom now as like a gift to like turning your life and making it awful now.
Right.
I think that the decision to keep them is more of like, well, it's either we kill them or we keep them. And then, so it's sort of like an investment that they've already made. Might as well use what they have. No need to waste anything. Like, I don't know, that's like the vibe I get. I don't really feel like there's enough care there. I think it's more, he understands that like, if you keep beating someone down, like they're going to want to bite back. So maybe from now on, they try to maybe use an approach that would be a bit more potentially securing by using the blackmail and all that. So, because they're not like, oh, we'll like give him stuff and be merciful. No, they're giving him an impossible choice after this. And I think it's very much, might as well use what we have in a bad situation and use as in make this child become a murderer for us and do all these things that he would definitely not ever do if not for the fact that we had his friend that we can torture if he does nothing.
Well, it's
Right.
interesting because the leader isn't the one saying these things.
Right, it's
It's
Thorn.
Apostle 4. He's the one saying,
Yeah.
well, this guy looks like I could shape it into something pretty decent for the organization. The leader isn't
Mhm.
going like, hey, you think we could turn these kids into assassins instead of just murdering them? You think they could do us some
He
good?
doesn't say
Fourth
no.
is the one going, I can shape this guy. We can put this one to use. And so
But the
just have
leader's
to
the one
look
who greenlights it. He's the one like,
Right.
yeah, that sounds good. Like, you
yeah,
know,
and
like,
he's like, yeah, that's good. But what's really interesting, I feel like now that we're getting on this track of saying like, oh, giving him some freedom, because the fourth says a little bit later on, he goes, I've trained spies before, make him strong, stealthy, invincible, but his training must be entirely done under my supervision. That makes me think that he went to go, oh, but this is so difficult because does he know the fourth's identity if he was trained this entire time? Like, did he go live with Apostle 4? Did Apostle 4 take him somewhere else?
because
I
then they would have gone for 4 as the easiest one to figure out their identity, because Kieran would have
Right, yeah,
potentially known
sure.
the most about him in the beginning. But no, they picked 7
Exactly. But I mean, this isn't like a boot camp military, like 2-month training program. Like, he probably trained Kieran for a long
His whole
time.
life. Yeah.
The reason I think that line was put in was to further sympathize, the leader. Meaning, if 4 is, we know that 4 treated Kieran horribly, right, during his training. So basically, I think this is a line telling us, oh, the leader was unaware of how bad it was for Kieran. I think it's because whoever the leader is,
Oh,
we're going to want to have
interesting.
sympathy for him. So I think that this is just Soph and F trying to shelter the leader from too many horrible decisions so we don't hate him. Which
Okay,
one-
but yeah, I agree with you there, but my mind is now also thinking Kieran did a lot of his training with Bella. They were like an assassin boot camp or whatever it was. And like, where was this taking place? Was this guy training
Underground.
both of
The
them?
underworld. We see that's a huge area underground.
Before we got to
I'm just
this
so
section,
curious. Like, did Apostle 4 go up to Apostle 7, Redcliffe, and be like, hey man, I hear you got some pretty stealthy killers in your circus. You want to help train my new guy?
yeah.
Like,
Before we discuss that, I just want to speculate. Did this section give you any more information about who you think the leader is?
I don't know about the leader, but I definitely have an idea of who Apostle 4 is.
That comes later, doesn't it?
Okay, but also, like, yes, later in that panel with the eye, we could discuss that. But even look at his outfit. Did anybody notice that really looks like a military or a police uniform? Like, it's blue. He's got the nice boots. Like, this could easily be somebody in the military or APD. You know,
because Stefan was in the military and APD, he would know a lot about disciplining people and training them and
training spies.
So let's we read through the panels. I mean, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So he, this guy, right, wearing those military pants or blue pants, very tight fitting, comes down. He's like, let's face it, our other options are either keeping them here forever or killing them. This one, he's got potential. He looks sickly, but he's fast and agile. And you see Kieran like going back, like he's retreating from him. I just noticed like the movement. He's like withdrawing.
Or is he fighting? He's like struggling against the restraints.
Maybe. Okay. I guess that could be too. And he picks up his sleeve and he says he compensates for his lack of skill with his will and quick thinking. Took several guards down by himself. I can train him. He's like talking about like these merchandise, which is disgusting.
literally.
Yep, literally.
And he pulls back the sleeve and you see the brand on him. And he says, I've trained spies before, make him strong, stealthy, invincible, but his training must be entirely under my supervision. And now I didn't understand this. What's this wreck? Did he hit him? What was going on there? What's this wreck?
He hit him?
Yeah, it looks like Kieran's getting hit by something on his shoulder.
What is it?
Like he got smacked?
Maybe it's a cane?
I was confused about that too, because it doesn't really make sense in the transition because he doesn't have the hood on.
Right. The next scene is like, looks like it's later.
The blade.
Yeah, the next scene is different lighting.
But
And
yeah,
that was knocking him
I mean,
out.
that says whack, right?
Yeah.
Whack.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Okay, no one else. I was like hoping for, someone would just
Yeah,
explain it.
I'm not sure. Mm.
Sounds like so much we could work off of.
Yeah, so then the next scene, it looks like there's a bit of a time jump, and they're in the cell again, and we have like stab, this knife is thrown into the cell, and we see Apostle 4 standing outside with the mask and the hood and the mirror and the cape, and he says, you've got two choices. Use this knife to end your life, or use this knife to work for us. And you see Kieran is just, he looks very small here again. He's somehow like gone shrunk in size. And he is just on the floor.
Starving.
I don't know, but he's just awful shape. And I mean, he isn't even like sitting up to hear him, right? He's so, whether it's like forlorn or hopeless or defeated or hungry or weak or sick, I don't know what he is, right? All those, like any of all those things, he's just on the floor. He isn't even moving to like attune his ear. And we see the knife, and he says, choose the first option and both of you will die. Meaning if he kills himself, then the other kid will also get killed. Choose the latter and both of you get to live. Resist the decision and your friend will be flogged until you make the choice. Go fuck yourself, sorry.
This just goes to show you that he was never given a choice. This isn't a real choice. He gave him 3 choices and none of them are a real choice.
Yeah, like it makes me think back to when Bella is talking to Kieran. She's like, and he's like, did I ever have a choice? And she's like, there's always a choice. You could have.
Fuck you, Bella!
Yeah.
Fuck you! It was not a choice. Now that she makes me so mad sometimes, but that just really makes me mad now, her saying that. I'm like, girlfriend, I don't want to compare traumas here, but you had it easy compared to Kieran. Comparatively. Like,
Yeah, no.
This is no, sweetheart. This was not a choice at all.
Yeah, maybe you could say the later after the protectee, which is like why she didn't know why he was still doing it.
No, because Kieran was thrown a gun and had a knife and had to make an impossible choice. And Bella reached for the knife as a present with a smile on her face. They could not be more different. They could not be more different.
Also, Bella wasn't really being blackmailed into anything. She liked the power that they gave her, so they never really needed to have anything over her to make her do what they wanted. They
she willingly murdered the only relative that she had, the only person that could possibly even try to blackmail her with. She wanted them gone anyways.
Yeah, I think that it's just like she's looking at it from her life experiences and he's looking at it from his life experiences of like why it wasn't really a choice in the first place, because he had someone else's life in his hands, not his own. I feel like if it was just him, he might have even just killed himself right then and there, right? But not.
I think he would have, by the way.
Yeah, like I don't put it past him to go for that. I don't know anybody in that situation who could like even think about doing that. So, like, being in like trapped like that might be your only out that you ever get.
I mean, you just never know until you're put in that situation. You don't know if you're going to be desperate enough to off yourself or desperate enough to be like, yeah, I'll become your killing machine, because the will to live is so strong. Or hoping that at being trained as a killer, you can find some way out and escape at some point. It's an impossible choice. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario.
Right. So now we see a bit of a small amount, probably, of time skip. And we see a plate on the floor with rats eating out of it. And now we see Kieran. He's now sitting. His back is against the wall. He is, looking all scratched up. His clothes are like in tatters. And barefoot again, and the knife is, right in front of him. It looks like he's looking at the knife and thinking about his choice and contemplating. And now we see the Apostle 4 has returned. She comes back and he says, have you made your choice, boy? We see, through Kieran's perspective, looking at him. And Kieran
looks so dead. His eyes look so dead there. They're not even blue.
Yeah. I know. It's so sad. And he looks up and he starts moving. He gets up, and by the way, I noticed the anatomy drawing was really good in that
So
particular
good.
one when he's
I
getting
feel
up.
like it's hard to draw crouching. Like that's a
Mm.
hard position.
Oh
to
yeah, for
draw.
sure.
I also really like the lighting that's kind of coming behind it. Like it's
Mhm.
very much
It's
like this-
it's like outlining his sleeve. It's glowing.
Mhm.
yeah, and in a way, like that lighting throughout this entire scene is kind of like he's in this terrible situation. It's dark and dirty and awful, and he has to do this awful thing, but there's still this like light behind him, and I don't know, that just kind of makes it feel like he's got a resolve in him to like not
He's
become
got
what
some
they want.
hope. You know,
Yeah.
he's got a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like he's
Also-
made the decision, and what we see is like he makes his own. I mean, he still chooses one of the decisions they gave him, but like in his own way, he accepts it.
Mm.
Mhm.
I think also it could be framing him as like he's the pure one, right? He's wearing white
Yes.
and the light is shining on him. So
Mhm.
despite the decision he's making, he's doing it out of the best of his heart.
Mhm.
So he walks towards the knife, picks it up, tears off his sleeve where we see the brand on his shoulder, throws it on the floor. Kind of looks like it's burning as it falls down. I think that was like a nice effect they did. And he puts the knife, first just puts it against his brand, and then you see the apostle reflected in it. Really like nice framing.
So
And then and then you just slash and you see only the reaction in Apostle Spore's eyes, and you see the blood on his pupils. I forgot which one, but you see his eyes are blue.
Mhm.
Okay.
okay, guys, this is the theory time. Who do we know that could train spies, be in the right age range for the time period 10 years ago, and have blue eyes?
The one thing holding me back from being like, of course it's Stefan, is just the fact that Stefan is very much like maintaining status quo of society. Like his son can't be friends with someone who's poor or someone who's destroyed their reputation. He has to marry this other lady.
Is that a
like, all
red
stuff.
herring though? I mean, is that just what
could
he's
be. That's the
saying but
thing.
not actually meaning because there's something else going on? Like, is he trying to just protect his kids from being involved in, I don't know.
Good
But
job.
like,
Stefan,
who
if
else
that's
could it be though? I can't think of any. It can't be for this eye color. It can't be
Dakin,
Dawkins.
Can't be
March,
Tristan.
No.
Can't be Tristan. It
Sorry,
can't
Herman.
not Herman.
It's
Okay.
not Herman. We know it's not Redcliffe because this is Apostle 4,
Eh,
not 7.
Redcliffe has green eyes,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
Really? I thought he had blue eyes.
I mean,
Is
yeah,
it
someone
blue eyes?
older.
Oh yeah,
than
he's got
pale blues.
Alucard looking face. Yeah.
Yeah, his eyes are blue. So like, who else in the? And it can't be Raphael because we know Raphael's the messenger.
Okay.
And he would be too, like he
He's
wouldn't have.
too young.
He wouldn't be
Yeah, he
demoted
He
would
would
to
have been too young
messenger.
because I mean, at that point, he like ran away, to the train station,
Yeah.
and so he wouldn't immediately be like, "Oh, I can train him to be an invincible killer." Like that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, unless it's somebody new or somebody we're really missing, I don't know who this could be.
We're not
Not
thinking
even
of
Lady
women
A. Lady A
either,
has like
but
gold eyes, I think. Sorry.
we're not thinking about women either, which is like, because we don't hear voices obviously when we read, but like, let's see some female apostles. Let's see some bitches, actually.
I mean, I would like to see some bitches, but just based off of the anatomy of him, like
Right.
that person crouching in that uniform, it looked very
Mhm.
male to me.
Yes,
to know.
it did. I don't know. Let me have my hope that we get like,
Like, I really don't know who else it could be.
Yeah. I mean,
And
unless
also,
it's
we know
someone
that
new.
Stefan is the spy master, so I'm like, does that mean he's good enough, obviously, to have trained previous spies? Like, that's just kind of the dead giveaway to me right now.
I
Yeah.
love if he were 4 and his son is like, I can't be in your life anymore that you want from me. I am gone. And then
They join the
then
same
it's the
freaking
same
organization.
and he works for his coworker. He's like his coworker's assistant.
Does he
Yeah,
not
one day.
know? He must know.
I guess
Wouldn't
not.
that
I
be
don't think
wild?
so.
What if, like,
Maybe
it's
not then.
Is he that good of a
Definitely.
spy master if he doesn't know that his own son?
Is the
That
best.
would just be like, I'm with you. Like I'm with you, Bundin. Like it could be him, but like what we know about his character so far, I don't know if I necessarily see him in the organization. And then when Raphael ran away, it almost felt like he was rebelling against his dad in a way. But then if he was rebelling and then they end up in the same organization, like wouldn't they run into each other? I don't know.
Well, I
don't
also
know.
want to figure out how to square it with his role in the cabinet and as a spy master for the royals. Like, is he double crossing them? Is he spying for them? You know, for the PS within the chamber, like within the council,
It's a double
what is-
quadruple spy.
like what's his motivation? What does he want? Why is he in wherever he is?
Okay, am I making this up, or is he the one that said that the ATST wasn't going to happen at the train station? He wanted forces at the palace.
No, they got a letter. Didn't they get
there
a
was
letter?
something, yeah.
No, yeah, and he was the head of police at the time, right? And
Yeah, that was like a point of contention between
Huh.
him and
I
Laura's
also-
parents, right?
Oh, I'm also curious about if I don't know if this is involved in any way, but the snitch, the person who like ratted out the Snapdragon to the royals in those like letters, like.
But didn't that person ask for money? He had money.
I mean, like, what else
Maybe
can you
that was
really
just to
ask for to make
throw-
it believable? Like, if
Right.
you're rich,
Throw us off,
like
maybe?
it's throw you off. Like, in my mind, it's like, what else would people want? Of course, they want money. Like, I'll ask for insert X amount of money. Like,
but then why
Yeah.
would he be part of the PS afterwards? I feel like the snitch would be someone who wouldn't join the PS after, unless he's so good at hiding that he
To
snitched.
keep tabs on his son.
But he's 4, right? He's one of the original, like, what is it, 12? There's 12 apostles originally. We know 1 and 2 were the Sinclairs. We don't know 3. We know 4 is this guy. And he's also, like, isn't he the head of, like, spies and torture or something? Like, I feel like we got his role, their role, we don't know, like, back when they had that big meeting with all the other apostles.
Yeah.
Oh,
I forget.
like assassination or
I'm just
espionage
saying,
or something.
what
Right,
if he
yeah, I
was
think
in
so.
charge of sending Raphael away and making him a part of?
So it's all a cover. Like, make it this whole thing where, like, Raphael has to leave and
Do you
all
think?
that. But then Raphael seems like he still has a ton of daddy issues. I don't know how good of an actor
Right?
he is.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't.
he's
think
got
they
a
know.
ton of daddy issues, but I don't know. I just
Like,
It's-
would he stay in the organization if he found out his dad was an apostle?
I don't think Raphael knows.
Yeah, I don't
think
think so
Raphael
either.
knows about his dad, but I feel like
Yeah.
Devin might know about Raphael.
Yeah.
Oh my
Right.
god.
So-
There's just so many confusing things about.
I need another
Yeah.
cork board with like red string.
Oh my god, no, I need that meme where it's like the red string and the corkboard. Like
Maybe
I
it
don't-
is time.
It's always
Like,
sunny meme, yes.
Maybe it is time for a reread because now I'm like, I need to go back and remember everything this guy did.
And it
every
can't
possible
be
lie
Mr.
he
I'm like,
told.
okay, so all the male characters within this age range, like, do
Blue
we
eyes.
remember? Yeah, who have blue eyes? Mr. Rosenthal. I can't imagine he was just like a flower shop owner. I can't imagine him being
I
like
don't-
able to train
People have been
spies.
holding on to hope that that man has something bigger than what
I'm
he
still
was.
holding on to the like. I'm like, he's in this somehow. The man
Then
is
why
not
would they-
innocent.
Why would they kidnap his son? Like, why would they keep
Exactly.
kidnap his son and
Also,
torture
like,
his
he
son?
said he had to
Like,
go
if it is
check
him.
on prep. I don't know. The man is sus. That's all I gotta say. I think he's
March is my most
somehow.
sus still. March is definitely involved. I could see
Oh,
him
March is
potentially being-
definitely involved somehow, but he doesn't have blue eyes. So who
No.
else could this be unless they're introducing?
No, I mean,
some
I still
random
think March is the leader, so I'm like squaring him away to be leader person.
I'm still convinced Leader has a peg leg. I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
That
I
one
know.
hell has me. That is a hill I will die on until proven otherwise. So, but
Fine. Wait. If we scroll up, we see some of right. They
See a peg leg? No, 4 doesn't have a peg leg. 4 has legs.
right.
for his legs.
We go.
You
They're
didn't see the
blurry.
leader though.
Yeah, they're blurry. Too blurry. Yeah. I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
the person over there looks like they have 2 regular legs, but whatever.
Well,
Anyway.
maybe the leader is Mr. Rosenthal and he has a peg leg after because he got injured in the explosion.
He got blown up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's the reveal.
Okay, this is
I don't know.
Fury
but I
Lando.
feel like
Wow.
the way I feel about Apostle 4 is now the way I feel about the protectee. I'm like, got to be Dylan. It's got to be Steven. Otherwise, no other character we've been introduced to like fits into the box of who it could be. And so they have to just be those people or give us completely new characters. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like at this point, I don't know how many new characters they'd be able to introduce that they can make compelling enough that we could care enough about at this point in the story. So I
Except
doubt
for Albion, obviously.
Oh, the Albion's gonna come back, Mindy. I just know it.
You better.
Albion's probably in the
Albion's
hospital.
coming back. I
dying.
asked her on stream. I was like,
Huh?
bring Albion back, and she said, and then I sent you that comment, Mindy.
Yep.
She's like, oh, I made him like cool looking enough that he could be his own MC. And so I'm like, okay, Albion may be the leader in Soap's next webtoon. Dear God, please, like,
Thank you.
prayers, yes, please. But I do think that Lauren is going to go interrogate everybody at the theater with March.
Mhm.
So I think we might see him again.
I can't wait to have Lauren around for these things. That's the one thing. It's like people are talking about things that would absolve them, and I'm like, Lauren's not in the room to let me know if it's a lie or not.
I know.
Like,
Exactly. We need
Like every
Lauren
time
back.
Kevin will talk to March, and March talks about like, yeah, awful, all these things. I'm like,
And it's red. Yeah, but we'll see. Mindy, there is hope yet that we could get Albion
Thank you.
the other day.
All right. So back to non-funny things. So basically Kieran has slashed off his brand, which I was wondering, like, how deep down does that brand go? Like, how many layers of tissue does he have to cut off?
I was actually, because my medical brain, I was like, the BS is not paying for him to have a skin transplant, so it had to be pretty decently shallow, actually.
Yeah.
Because if it was too deep, it wouldn't have healed over, would have gotten infected. He'd need a skin graft. So
epidermis,
pretty-
maybe like just the top layer of the skin.
yeah, it was pretty superficial.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know it, you know how it is. Like, everybody's fallen and scraped the complete top of their knee off. You know, where it's like red and raw, but it's over. I think it was that. You know, pretty superficial.
Yeah.
It'll still bleed a lot though, but
It did bleed a lot.
yeah, it'll bleed a lot, but I don't think it's as deep as we think it is.
Mm.
Still though, just
And now I'm wondering about the branding part. I mean, not that I want to find out, but like how deep does the branding go? I don't know. I guess we don't have personal experience. So, but yeah, it's the blood is dripping down his arm, and the clearly the Apostle 4 is shocked at this behavior and this ability to be completely stoic and do that to himself. And throws the knife down on the floor and says, "I'll do what you want me to do. I will work for you, but you will never make me become one of you."
how much did this child have to go through because he's still a teenager at this point to be able to just stand there and cut off a layer of his skin and not scream
And not even blink.
Yeah.
flinch.
He was probably doing it like not blinking, staring at that guy's
Mhm.
eyes the whole time. Just
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what he was subjected to as a
as
child
a slave. Well,
Maybe
that's
we
what
just
I'm
know
saying.
that
We
he
don't
was a
know
slave.
how long he was a slave, and we don't know what they had to do as slaves.
Yeah, and
we
what were
only know
used
that he
labor.
was trained to be the PH under the supervision
Mhm.
of Apostle 4, and his first kill was at 17. But like from 14 to when he killed Apostle 10,
Mhm.
what was he doing? Like, what was he subjected to? Obviously,
I'm guessing it was the
flogging,
flogging, right?
but
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and his expression is, he looks dead but determined, but more dead, I think.
he's
To
also
me, that's a
been
dominant
flogged
expression.
like when he's older too, right?
Yeah,
He's
I think
definitely
so.
been flogged like after he's killed Apostle.
Mm, right, he looks pretty old in those flashbacks.
Some of those flashbacks.
Mm.
Mm.
Wow. So yeah, the fact that Kieran, I've always said consistently a billion times over that Kieran is a good person inside and must be like an extremely sensitive person. And here you see how immediately his frame of mind is, I am not going to be a bad person. I'm not going to be evil. I'm not going to be a horrible person like you guys. Which that's important to him. It just shows you like the most important thing to him is not his survival and not comfort or whatever, or like he's not begging them to like, give him favors or something. He just is concerned about being a moral person.
He's a lover, not a fighter.
He wants to maintain his humanity. That's like one of the main things that he loves about people and everything like that. And he's not going to let them take that one thing away from him.
Right, and like why he keeps sketching too.
Yeah.
And like that's just who he is. Like he was a street painter. Like he was a painter. He was an artistic, sensitive soul.
Like it's something that he can hold on to.
Specific type of person that does that, especially for a living.
Well, that's the other thing, right? It's like, I don't know, you know, obviously like children only started going to school fairly recently. And our Harless is placed in, you know, time zone we don't know, but like, did he have to support himself? Like, is he an orphan? Like, or was
that's another big question too. We don't know if he's an orphan or not. It kind of makes it sound like he is. If he was 14 and not in school, had to support himself, only knew how to paint.
It could be like a Bella situation where he's forced to work instead, like how she was forced to sell matches. So
right.
We don't know.
This also could be before, you know, primary education became compulsory for children, because that is very, very recent in history. But like, I get the feeling that it's more of like a orphan support himself situation.
No, I think so too, because depending on the orphanage, like in some countries, like sometimes they kick you out at 12 or 14 or 16. Like there's a specific age where it's like if you don't get adopted, they basically go, well, you're on your own. And so they might have just turned him out, you know, at a certain age, and that's how he learned how to support himself.
Right, and we know that, you know, just even from hearing people talk about it, that they didn't really have orphanages, at least not in Great Chapel, right? Maybe in other places they did, but that kids are not being taken care of, right? That's what like Dawkins was fighting for, and yes. All right, so now we go back to the present, and Kieran has just flashed through all this in his mind, right? His memories of how he acquired that scar, and he's still holding on to Lauren on his arm. He's just, his eyes are shrouded, and he's just bitter. And he opens his mouth, and you can see and then he closes it, and you can see I think he wanted to tell her more.
Yeah.
Then he only says, I gave that one to myself. I refuse to bear the mark one of them put on me at some point. I got rid of it. That's all. And he lets go of her hand. So to me, I think he was gonna tell her more, and then he chose not to.
Yeah, he was thinking about it. That he was opening his mouth, and the previous stuttering, like he's being very selective of how much information.
And it's such like a heavy silence too, that I wonder like how long was he thinking about this in his head before he, you know, told Lauren what he was thinking, or just a little bit about it.
Yeah, and I think that his hesitation, like the reason why he doesn't go deeper, leads into the next scenes that we see with him, where he doesn't want her, like you said, he doesn't want pity, but I don't think he doesn't want her to kind of see him as good in a way. Like he doesn't, he knows that he's had to do horrible things, and he has resigned.
He's not looking for an excuse from her.
Yeah, exactly. And also he doesn't think he deserves any sort of like sympathy from anybody for what he's done or had to do in the past. I think he's just like, you know, because getting that from anybody will kind of just mess with this whole persona that he's come up with for himself to get through like his work and what he's had to do for the past 10 years, you know. So yeah, I think he is not ready to be that open in front of her, but he wishes he could be.
Yeah, he wants to.
He definitely wants to. Yeah, but he wasn't ready. I mean, we don't even know the last time that he thought about this trauma, and so obviously that trauma was triggered for him, and when you're reliving it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they're becoming like more closer and more intimate, but they still have so far to go.
Yeah, because she didn't hug him.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So
exactly. I feel like hugging him would have been weird. Hugging him would have been like not that would have been like jumping ahead of like where I think they are at emotionally.
I don't know. A part of me thinks that, but also he was literally going in to hug her, which caused the stitch to pop, and that was just over her crying about Kim, and Kim is gonna be fine.
Mhm.
And
that's
he
the
just
thing.
talked about how he sliced his own flesh off and has flagellation scars and all this stuff. Like, I think a hug would have been appropriate.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
here's
he
the
did hug
difference, I
her.
think. I think he is beginning to feel a lot more comfortable with her, and now he's
Mhm.
realizing it, and he's like gonna pull back. I don't think she has gotten to that point yet where
No. She burrowed her head into his neck last
Mhm.
episode or whatever it was in the
her
hospital.
bestie was in the hospital. I don't know. It's
Mhm.
that's an external thing. Like with that, I don't know. I don't know. The slow burn mandates that we must not get everything.
I mean, he
we
did
want.
hug her. He hugged her at the carnival. I mean, granted, she did think she was a child again, but he still gave her like a very heartfelt hug and was like patting her back and patting her head and everything.
He didn't
So I
know
don't
what
know.
else
I
to do
feel
with
like-
that either.
I
Yeah.
feel like they are at the point for another heartfelt hug.
I don't know.
I
I think
think
that
she
all.
didn't hug him because she didn't want, like, he was obviously tensing up, clamming up,
Mhm.
becoming cryptic.
Mm.
You know, if he had, I don't know, been a little bit more open, started crying. I mean, not that he would have at that point, but you know what I'm just saying? If he had been like a little bit more open, I could see her like going in for that hug. But since he kind of clammed up,
Mhm.
and he had previously said in the last episode,
Yeah,
like, I don't
so
want your
okay.
pity. I don't need your pity. I think she's restraining herself.
Like
I think she wanted
he would
to.
do the hug as the pity.
I
Yeah.
can see that. Yeah. You're right. That part. Yeah, when he's like, I don't want your pity, whatever, and she's kind of like trying to avoid hitting any of like those sensitive points. I could see that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the only fine. I'm gonna accept that because I was mad at Lauren last night. But yeah, you're right. He says like I got rid of it, that's all, and he lets go of her hand, and then he closes the conversation effectively by saying thank you for the stitches.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then she wasn't gonna be like, "Ah, come here," you know. Like it was ended. He shut it down.
It's so interesting because like I realized just now, like I was about to go explain why Lauren isn't hugging him, and I was like, wait a second, Mindy. You're saying that because I'm not like such a hugger. I'm like very comfortable with Yoel, but with everyone else, I don't really like express physical affection. And I have to force myself to like hug my friends or my kids. And so that's so in my head, I just saw Lauren as being like, oh, Lauren's uncomfortable with physical affection. I was like, Mindy, like you're uncomfortable with physical affection.
Oh my God.
You're like totally projecting.
Mindy, that is so spot on because yeah, I'm very similar. I am not a touchy-feely person with anybody but my husband. But then with my husband, like touch is our thing. Like
Yeah.
touch is my love language with him, but not with other people. Like it's
Oh no, I'm a
very
hugger.
defined thing. Yeah, exactly. Whenever and it's just that's just my thing. I've just never been touchy-feely with friends or and like other people in my family even. It's like we just hug when we greet and all of that. And other than that, it's like stay 6 feet away from me.
Right. So it's so funny because I realize I've been thinking that way about Lauren for the whole comic. I'm like, oh, Lauren's, distant. Lauren's emotionally, a little bit emotionally stifled, and like she's very controlled. And I just realized, like, I've been interpreting her through how I am.
Yeah.
Projecting.
Isn't
Like,
that
wow.
interesting? And also Lauren is not a touchy-feely person either. Kim is the touchy-feely one that's like constantly throwing her arm around her and hugging her and squishing her face and slapping her butt and doing all this stuff. Like Lauren doesn't do those things. Lauren is a very like pretty reserved person when it comes to stuff, especially like touch.
Right. I mean, she does like who hugs her first? Will hugs her, right? In the recent hug, it was Will who initiated it.
In the alley when he's like, I don't want to be the last one from our memories. I'm pretty sure Lauren is the one who initiates that hug.
Right, so I was trying to go back and be like, wait, am I like totally misreading her? And I was trying to remember all the times that she was actually, physically demonstrative. I couldn't remember.
I think she's a little bit more physically affectionate with Will because she grew up with.
Yeah, like they're closer, I think. Yeah.
Will is like a brother to her.
I feel like she'd be like that with Kim too, but Kim is just, the one to always do it because that's just how Kim is. I feel like Lauren would definitely like obviously reach out to hug Kim if like, if Kim weren't the one barreling towards her first.
No, Kim always is there first.
Yeah, we've never seen her like hug, well, no, she has hugged
on the roof.
Yeah, Tristan hugged her like
that's after the factory art. I feel like everything has been like very extreme circumstances.
True.
Yeah, we get a hug after she almost dies in a factory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wait, didn't he like hug her like when she got the picture of Tim's sake, like back in like 20 something, her uncle like sees her murder board and like he hugs her and she like kind of holds him at arm's length. She's like, "You should go to bed, old man," or something like that.
Oh, she
I feel
kind of
like
pushes him away. She's like, yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah,
that's
I
more
remember
because
that
she's
well.
like having a mental breakdown about her parents' car being there with Tim's sake in it and all that. She's like, you need to focus on that can of worms.
It was so long ago. I remember reading it now. It's like forever ago.
That's what I'm saying. We have all this new info now. I need to do another reread.
It's time for another reread.
So it takes forever.
You can do it in a couple days.
136. Yeah, that's a lot of episodes.
Oh, can we cut off for a second? My phone is about to die and I want to get my charger so I can plug it in.
Okay, so now we have the cave episode is over. Oh, we didn't mention Lauren does look very sympathetic, by the way.
She's tearing up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
a little bit.
Like, look at her right eyeball compared to the panel right above where he says, "Thank you for the stitches." Like, it's cloudy. It looks like there's. She
And I
definitely
feel
looks like
like
she's tearing up.
Lauren, I feel like she's intuitive enough to know that there's more to the story than Kieran just told her. So
Oh,
she knows that Kieran
absolutely.
just
Oh,
gave
for
her like the bare
sure.
minimum, and she's like, there's more to this like memory that he just had.
She's already such
one.
a good detective. Like she
Yeah.
knows she can read between the lines.
Yeah. So she knows like there's something else. There's more trauma to this story.
Yeah. So now we have a few panels. We have look just interiors of Kieran's beautiful house, which I've always loved. My house has some very
His
cool
bathroom
elements.
is so cute.
I know he has such an eye for interior design.
I know. Okay, I do too, by the way, and I'm flattered to say, like, my living room and it reflects a lot of his living room
Style.
aesthetic. So basically, we're twins. Also
In another universe, he's an artist and an interior designer.
And interior design.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. An
Like,
artist.
artist.
Makes a lot of sense.
He's a creative person. Yeah.
Got an eye for
Very
like
creative.
color, textures.
I've said all along, Kieran's my ideal webtoon husband because he reads, and now he's also an artist and interior designer. Hello, we even have the same taste in houses.
Hello, Mindy. Also, I would like to point out in the next couple panels, get you a man that does his skincare routine nightly.
Oh my
That
gosh.
is just the cherry on top. This man, it is on the clock. It says it is 6:30 in the morning. That means these fuckers were up all night
It's
long.
always
I-
6:30 in
I know,
my
yeah,
practice.
don't
Like,
trust the clock.
priority. I must wash the face. I have to wash my face.
Yeah.
Like that. It took me years to get my husband to wash his face more than just like in the shower.
Okay.
And now
I
we've
never
been
even
together
tried,
so long,
Lily.
like he has the whole routine. Like I
Okay.
finally got him on like a whole skincare routine.
I just got my husband to start using actual face wash instead of a bar of soap.
Oh my
That's
god.
huge. That
Okay,
Emily,
and he
that's
still
the
won't
first
even
step.
he won't even moisturize still. He doesn't moisturize. He'll use the
Why
face
are
wash.
men like
I don't
this?
moisturize.
Mhm. Like they'll use the same bar of soap for like their whole body. I'm like, dude, you put that on
No.
your
No,
put that
the
on your
worst
face.
thing is when they got the shampoo conditioner mix that they can also
Or
use as a
the
bar of
2-in-1. Yeah,
The
the
2-in-1.
2-in-1.
Like,
2-in-1,
five
5-in-1.
No, I feel like Kieran is like bougie enough that he would have like his moisturizer and his SPF and his face wash.
He is. It's a good
He
dress.
has
my-
A man that dresses like that. A man that
So
dresses
this
like
is
that
not
has-
peach related, but ladies, my tip for you to try to get your significant others into skincare, whatever you don't use, just put the bottles on their side and say, "Oh, try it out."
Yeah,
It's-
So I
start
got my
now. It will
husband
take
because
you.
I'm addicted to skincare. I actually went to esthetician school when I was working as a travel nurse in California.
Ooh,
And so I did that on the side. And so I'm constantly buying stuff all the time, especially because I get a discount. And so I would just try stuff. And if it didn't work out for me, because my skin's very sensitive. And so I would be like, hey, you use it. And I'd put it on his side and he'd be like, this stuff's really good. And he'd run out and he'd ask me, he'd be like, can I get some more of that? I think it was a serum.
You got your
Yeah.
husband to use a
Is this a
serum?
retinol?
Oh yeah, no, he's on a whole like 10-step Korean skincare routine. My husband's skin is
amazing.
so beautiful. Yeah, but and then I got him on SPF because he gets sunspots really bad
Mm.
already. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you're too young for this. We gotta stop.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Everyone listening out there. Yeah.
everybody listening,
get
get your
skincare.
husband, whoever, partner,
Start
everybody.
now, and it'll
On
take you till a
screen
year.
now.
Yeah, start now, and maybe in a year they'll start, washing their face properly.
And not use a 10-in-1.
And not a 10-in-1, not the bar of soap. That's for their whole body.
Like Irish Spring. Oh god.
Yeah. Get them to moisturize.
The dial soap. Anyways, I'm sure Kieran has very fancy soap because the bathroom is beautiful.
Yeah.
I always thought, like, when I first saw this, I was like, wow, he bought this apartment with all this nice setup, and he was like, nice, I will change nothing. I don't know, I didn't see him like wanting to take the time to like redesign the bathroom. I think he just bought it like this or rents it like this.
I think
I think he wanted, because he grew up in a freaking concrete jail cell. I think he wants to have like, he's so
like some amenities,
intuitive and artistic. I could totally see him being like, I want this color couch, I want this rug, I want it cozy, I want it all to go together. Like, I feel like he has that,
like that, like the bookshelves he has. I mean, I think that's like his. I mean, it's
do I think he picked out the bathroom tile? No, but I do think that as far as the general decor,
like the general aesthetic,
I could see him having
right.
like
That I can see. That I can see. Okay, yes.
Just making it cozy.
Yep. So he is hovering over the sink and watching as we see his face, and we are finally privy to his thoughts. Have we seen his inner thoughts before?
When Lauren was hypnotized.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just very rare that we get like a full on like Kieran POV.
This is a long
54 when we see his room with the drawings and stuff for the first time, we see his inner thoughts.
But this is definitely the longest.
Special when you do get a Kieran POV.
Like,
it was delightful.
Like Christmas got a Kieran POV, yay.
Basically.
I think, isn't he, am I wrong, is he the only other person we get a POV of?
I think we've had Will's POV, maybe Kim's.
I think we've gotten Kim's before.
Yeah We've gotten Will's on, like, when he like woke up and he had the picture of the three of them as kids, and he has flashback to when he saw the train station stuff, him at the piano, him thinking about his brother. We've had the main four, I think. And then some of,
I feel like it's just been very brief though, like just a couple thought bubbles, not all that.
This like half an episode basically.
Yes.
I do not even remember those. I'm like racking my brains. Okay, whatever.
Gotta do another reread.
So, and he's thinking to himself, what am I doing? I've let her get closer to me than anyone else. Splashes his face. It's wrong. It's dangerous. And the perspective is beautiful. And then he's like,
it's amazing.
Hair up.
Are you looking at those hands, Mindy?
No, I was looking at his hair this time. But yes, and generally his hand. But you know, the truth is, like, I was really, like we were talking about earlier, I was too busy being concerned for him to like lust after him.
I know.
Episode.
Yeah.
Like, even though he was like naked the whole time, I didn't think about that. And I was noticing that. I was like, last time we were like, you know, he was.
Oh my God, we were horny bitches.
Last episode.
It was ridiculous.
Right. And
that's
yeah,
just
this
how
time we like did
episode
not.
was. I mean, Kieran was shirtless half of it, and like we didn't even talk about it. That's how
shirtless all of it. He has no shirt on this entire.
Oh yeah, I mean he's still shirtless, and it's like
he's like splashing water on his face, being all sexy, and we're like, his emotional state. Oh Lord.
Well, that's good though. That just shows that like they're very good at getting us like emotionally invested and like understanding like the tone of the scene. Like it's not just like, oh, let me take off my shirt and show you my scars. Like, no, this is him like kind of, again, I think him being shirtless also adds to the vulnerability of his thoughts a bit. So good visual storytelling. Good visual storytelling.
It's not just fan service, it's part of the story.
Porcano Lostos.
Yeah, he says it's selfish and entirely my fault. And then he looks up, we get a glimpse of his like beautiful blue eyes.
Amazing.
And
also great eyebrows. I don't think I've ever like appreciated his eyebrows before.
Oh my God, he has the best
panel.
Eyebrows. They're like so thick, but in a good way.
Right.
Yes.
He takes care of himself.
Or he's just born beautiful.
I think he's just
he's born with it. Maybe it's his traumatic past. I'm sorry.
Compensate. And with everything going on right now, we don't need any more distractions. But I think he means I don't need any more distractions. Because like, what do you mean we don't need any more distractions? You're like, if the we is us.
It takes two to tango.
I know, I posted in Discord, I was like, bro, You're the one making jokes about 5-minute quickie sessions in the archives. What
I
And
know
he's
that.
also the one like
distracted.
he constantly, I mean, I said it last episode, he constantly brings up at any given moment that he is her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Like he
Yeah.
brings it up even when you don't need to
He'll
bring it up.
probably bring it up next episode. He's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like this is all out the window. Like he's
I'm
just
like,
gonna-
distractions. Okay, you're the one like being the fake boyfriend.
correct.
Mm-hmm. And then he continues, and what are we seeing? Is this his side?
Yeah,
his
like
scar.
Yeah, he's
arm?
hunched over and he's grabbing he's crossing his left arm over to his right
Like
shoulder.
this.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah, and he's
like
kind of
this.
hunched. Yeah. It
Yeah.
just looks a little bit weird because he's like very slightly hunched over, so it's like angling his shoulder forward.
Mhm.
Okay, fine. I'll just accept it 'cause I have no idea what I'm looking at. But something just always makes me want to be around her.
Sir, you are in love.
It's called LOVE.
Oh, I know.
His
He's
things
so
are clicking in his brain finally. It only took him
They're
3
not
years.
clicking in his brain. That's the problem. He like describes very accurately, like very descriptively what he's feeling, and he's like, I don't know what it is.
The man's never
What
been
is
in love before. He doesn't know.
He's
He
got
has
all the
no
pieces. He just
idea.
doesn't know the words.
Yeah.
He's like, what is this basic human emotion? This is not computing.
Like, what does
You're
it
not
mean
EXE
when you have
complicated.
like butterflies in your stomach when you're around somebody?
Oh,
What does that mean?
cute. So adorable. And he thinks back to, he's like, her bravery, and he thinks back to when she is in the factory saying we still have 8 minutes left to go into the vents. Her kindness, he thinks back to when she was wrapping up his bandages. Her warmth,
Mhm.
he thinks back to
Mhm.
last night.
The
or
literal
now,
warmth of her
this
skin
morning.
on his. But also like
And like him holding the wound, it's like she's
Like,
trying to
It's
remember
like he
her
can still
touch.
feel her
like,
touch. Yeah, it's like he can
keep
still
her
feel
touch there. Yeah, like keep her
Yes.
touch there, and maybe like have that imprint over, the trauma of what the wound was. And now
like
it's
in a
like,
way
Her warmth can heal over his
Oh.
scar.
Oh. It's so
it
amazing.
makes it easier.
He says she made me feel human again. Oh, and now we flash back to when he's thanking her in the factory, and he says, "I wanted to tell you that, not in the factory, sorry, in his house, that I'm thankful for you too. I've become a better person because of you. All of this, life makes a little bit more sense since I've met you."
That's just his roundabout way of saying I love you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't know the
Yeah.
words.
Mhm.
Can we also just point out the fact that both of them have said identically in their brain, what am I doing? I've let them in. And Lauren just goes, I guess I let him in. He's been really caring. Let's think about Dylan. And then he goes into a traumatic downward spiral,
Right.
thinking about how much he
Aw.
loves her. So you can really see the two are not in the same mental space as like, and as far as their feelings right now. But Lauren will get there. We just got to
yeah,
get
Lauren's getting there.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
getting there.
We were talking about this in the server last night where someone was like, I don't think Kieran will be the one to make the first moves. That'll have to be like Lauren, I think. And I was like, yeah, I agree. My personal headcanon that I've had for literal years is that Kieran is not going to make any sort of like physical advances towards her because of like,
No, but
his
she
past
will.
trauma. But she will, and he'll be like, and she'll be like, and then he'll be like, and then they talk, or like maybe they just go
I could
straight
see
to
that.
the, But I would like for them to kind of let it all out, or at least let part of it out where they kind of realize they're on the same page about everything and how they feel.
No,
and
she's
they're
gonna
vulnerable.
initiate. Like she's
Yeah, I
gonna
could see
just like her touching the scar, like she's gonna initiate the first kiss, face, caress, whatever.
And he's gonna lean into it for a second, but then try to like deny himself, and Lauren's gonna be like, no, you're not. Like,
Some of my favorite
Yeah.
fan art that I've seen on random places like Instagram and stuff is like where she's shoving him up the archives wall and just going for it. And I'm like,
Hauntory makes the best art.
oh
and
yes,
told you-
Hauntory. Oh my god.
Hello, have you been accepted to her 18+ Twitter?
Mindy, I've tried. I've asked like 3 times. She won't accept me.
Oh.
I have 0 followers. Probably. I just made it. I don't even have a Twitter. I just made a Twitter because you told me to.
Yeah,
ask her
okay,
to
so
follow.
tell-
she's
show
probably
her
like,
your
she
Instagram.
probably thinks I'm a robot or something.
So show her all the podcast episodes. Show her you're a diehard PH fan, and
Ugh.
be like, "Okay, girl, you
Can
people,
you just be
everyone."
bad and like screenshot the stuff and send it to
No,
me? I just
she
do that.
doesn't. She doesn't let. You have to be a follower.
Okay.
But yes, everyone out there, if you want 18 plus, amazing.
yeah.
Send
I'll
out
put
my
my Twitter right now.
Tori, if you're listening, please accept me.
I'll message you two together. Like you guys just.
Oh, can you do that?
Yes.
I think you need to like introduce me as a real person and not like a Russian bot. That'd be
Okay.
great.
So send me your Twitter after the
Okay, I
podcast.
will. I think I followed you. I don't know. I'll
Okay.
double check. But yes, no, that's my favorite like spicy art that I see is like Lauren basically shoving him against the archives wall and just being like, like
So she
grabbing
has
that
the 18 plus version of it on her 18 plus account. It's
I know what I'm
it's
doing
amazing.
right after this podcast.
Yes. Whew. All right. So he takes a towel. By the way, I love this man's part. Okay, my husband is a lovely guy, but he's very messy. And like just the fact that Kieran is like so neat and organized and everything. I bet you that towel is clean and like smells fresh.
Oh yeah.
I just love it. I'm so appreciative of that. Kieran is like a well-groomed.
Well, I also
capable
think that
person.
just because of the way that he grew up, like we know that he enjoys nice things and nice clothes and he has the money to do it. And it's like you got to give yourself life's little pleasures when you can't have anything else but that, right?
It's also a way of him to be able to control something in his life and his environment to be how he wants it, right? Because like a clean house, you know, a lot of people don't really think about that, but for him, he grew up in filth for a lot of his life. So for him to be able to maintain a clean and orderly house probably
have
is a
nice
part of
clothes, like control his image with his clothing. Like these are all things that he can control.
So yeah, he grabs a towel, wipes his face, and he thinks, "Come on, Kieran, you know better than that. Nothing can and nothing ever will erase what I did. I lost my right to forgiveness years ago." Oh, he's looking down with those like stunning cerulean eyes.
So
Yeah, I know, right? It's
do we
insane.
think is he just talking about the protectee and what happened to the protectee, or is this the just accumulation of
I think the murders that he did.
I think it's it's the
everything.
murders. Yeah, I love, I will not love, I hate this, but it's just the fact that he's like, I lost my right to get forgiveness years ago, implying he's thinking about like, you know, his entire life. But of all the things he could think about, he thinks specifically about when she called him a monster. And like, and that obviously leans into like what he ends up thinking after this. But then I also think that's something that he feels particularly guilty for, given how close they've become now and how much he basically instantly regretted it the moment after it happened.
Yeah.
And he says,
to the point
I
where
only
he
proved her
literally
right.
didn't touch her. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. He acted, I acted like a monster.
I wonder if they're going to talk about it ever.
I would like for them to.
I feel like they have to talk about, I mean, before they even get, I don't know, before they get even closer or maybe more physically intimate, I think they'll talk about it.
I wonder, because the way that they relate now, it definitely feels like they've moved past it. Like she's like, maybe not.
I don't know. I
don't think he has moved past it. I don't think he's moved past what he's done. Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna have a sit down, full blown discussion and be like, so this is how you made me feel that day in the cave.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. I don't think it's gonna go like that, but I do think that it's gonna go in the direction of they're getting closer, something's getting a little more intimate. He's trying to push her away. I'm a monster. And she's saying, no, Kieran, you were never a monster. And
yeah, I think it's gonna come up.
I'm sorry for what I said. You know, he'll try to say something like, but I acted that way towards you and I'm sorry. You know, I think it'll be like a little discussion like that. I don't think they're gonna sit down and have a full
it's going to come up for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, he says, as he says, I only proved her right. You see, you know, he looks himself in the mirror, and Kieran in the mirror is like, this poor dude, he never sees himself normally in the mirror.
No.
Now he sees like,
there's always blood.
Yeah, so half of him is covered in blood and the other half like is just bruised up. He looks so sad and guilty and like a little boy, like repentant. It's terrible. He reminds me also of Shawnee from Mulan. Because of the
Shang.
Shang.
Oh,
But-
dang.
Yeah. Shang
Oh,
is
with the bun?
yeah, amazing character right away.
Another
Oh my
king.
god, that no top,
Yeah.
and that's probably
That's one of the top Disney movies for sure.
that
is
well,
one of the
top
top
Disney
Disney
movies,
movies.
and also like I
And-
mean, I love.
He's
That was
I
my
love
favorite
Shang
movie
is
growing
amazing.
up. Ugh.
Shang is hot. Like
Well, I have a lot to say about Shang, but it's not really
I know, but do you feel
Not
like we
Purple
need to have a
Hyacinth.
side conversation? Just like I mean, I don't know. I think that might have been like my sexual awakening. Shang. I
Oh.
don't know. Just
For
like
Shang.
was
Ooh,
Shang.
Shang.
I have always
get it.
been attracted to like Asian men. Always, always, ever since I
Oh,
was
well, your husband's
that movie.
is
And I
Filipino.
married one.
Yeah.
The only other guys that really even dated were half Asian or Asian, and I married Asian guys. So
Oh yeah.
he doesn't have a bun though. That's unfortunate. So we're working.
Hello.
Maybe he'll work
got
on it
into
after
the
hearing the
doctor.
No,
podcast.
no, my husband's cute, but like he can't do it. He can't.
No bun.
No.
Can't do the bun.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
yeah, again, you got him to adopt a skincare routine. You can get
He's
him to
got
grow
the
his hair out of
skincare
it.
routine. I'll leave it at that. And my
That was
husband
enough.
works out every single day, so he's super fit. So I'm like, I can't complain. Like
That was enough.
Oh,
that's enough. Like I will, yeah. And he's got Kieran eyebrows. He's got super thick, dark black eyebrows. So I'm like, I will leave it. Yeah.
I think he's good looking. I see your Instagram. I think he's
Oh, my
good.
husband? No, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm biased, but like my husband is very good looking. I think he's super handsome. He's only gotten more good looking because men they can age.
I hate that so much.
No, they're
I
allowed.
think I've gotten better looking with age. I also dress better. I take care of myself much better. I work out a lot more.
Mhm,
Like now that I'm older,
yeah,
when I was younger, I'm much happier. I think, So I think I aged better than when I was younger. But anyway, we could totally talk about Shang because I have opinions about Shang. Maybe we should just do a separate episode on like Mulan, on like Disney men or Disney.
Yeah,
down
let's
for
do
that.
that. Yeah, because Aladdin and Shang were like my
Aladdin has my heart.
yeah,
Okay, fine.
Aladdin was my
Oh.
favorite one growing up. Like I just have something for like
Sorry to everyone listening.
Yeah.
Disney
No
episode.
hair,
Come back.
no hair on
okay?
the chest, darker skin tone.
I promise we're coming back to
Man.
Purple Hyacinth.
All right. So
Okay, sorry. Back to
yeah, Kieran, who has his hair in a bun, who looks like Shang, is being very sad. And he says, she loathed me in the beginning and should have continued to do so. Yet he knows she doesn't. He's gripping the sink and his arms are shaking. And he's remembering lying on the floor and his eyes are opening and he sees Lauren over him in the factory. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it says, Kieran, please wake up, Kieran. And Lauren just looking so distressed. And she's like, please. And Kieran opens up his eyes to see that Lauren is begging for him. to
and
wake
that's
up.
her hair. That's her hair touching
On
his
his
face.
Mm-hmm.
That's her
Oh my
hair
God.
touching his face.
Did we didn't see this eye panel last time?
Yeah,
did
we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Wow.
Yeah, that's old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, whoops.
Beautiful.
I don't remember the hair part. Fine.
I just,
Yeah.
it just makes me so sad to see him be like, she shouldn't hate me. I shouldn't be like trying to encourage this. And he's like, but she just makes me feel so much better. I feel so much better around her. She makes me a better person. I'm just like, it's like the thing I wrote in the server last night about like him being a moth.
Yeah, wait.
Oh,
where did you-
yes.
Okay, I saved it. 1 second.
It was
I'm
so
gonna open it
good.
up.
Oh, it was so good. I was like half
Yes.
asleep reading it, Bundin. I was like, this is so good.
Okay, here.
was in the
I wrote here, Bundin awesome comments. Okay, whatever.
Oh my
I can't see it. But here, I will stop the background so you can see that how I labeled it. Here.
By tilting it back a little bit. Like
Lovely.
tilt it.
Here.
Oh, you
Bundin-
actually copied it. Oh my god,
I
you
wrote
have a
down.
whole doc.
Yeah. It says Bundin awesome document. Awesome, whatever.
That's amazing.
Anyway, that's what I said. So,
Oh my god.
all right.
Yeah,
let me-
it's like he's like a moth. He's like, a creature of like, the darkness and the night. And
Hey,
but
should-
he's
should I
drawn
read
to the
it? It's right
flame.
here.
Oh, if you want, you can
Yeah.
read it, sure.
Yeah, read it.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Kieran is like a moth, resigned to the night and the darkness. And Lauren is like the flame he was drawn to, despite how he knows it could hurt him. He's had a flame like that before, and he knows the pain he experiences when he gets too close. He also knows that the beating of his wings can snuff out the flame in an instant if he's not careful. It's better for the both of them to avoid the flame entirely, but it's in his nature to be drawn to its warmth and light.
That is so poetic.
Oh
It
my
was so
God.
poetic. I don't know, that should
That
have
was
been. And then people were like,
Beautiful.
oh, it's like the fan art of like the Hope fan art with the butterfly that Soph did with Dylan and Lauren. And I was
And
like,
the flame.
yeah. And I was like, I forgot that existed, but oh my God.
Yeah.
And someone else pinged me about that today. I was like, bro, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
It
you
was
have another
subconscious.
comment, which I guess we'll read in a second. Oh, where so basically he opens up the door, right, to his secret room, which is also beautifully decorated, except for all his boxes. And crosses over and he looks at the drawing that he did of Lauren on the wall, and he says she stayed, and he reaches out to the painting, right? He strokes.
My favorite panel.
Go ahead, Emily, you describe it. You talk.
Oh no, it was just so beautiful. I mean, he like, it's not even like he's hesitating. He just full on like reaches out to her face, but then his fingers come away with, the smudge of the charcoal, which is really easy if that's what he, has been using charcoal. But then like with the blood, and then it goes back. It's just so poetic and cinematic and amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
I had so many feelings about this one, like him just kind of, he can reach out and touch this one because it's not actually her,
exactly.
it's a representation of her, and he feels like he can like touch it, and that it's like he wishes that he could like be tender with her like that. But
the photo isn't looking at him like.
And I mean, like, we don't know. I mean, the walls are covered with his artwork, but he also has a million boxes. But he chose to keep Lauren up on a wall, like in a very specific area. And he's also looking at her like it's very eye level, even.
Yeah.
What's
Well,
it?
that was the first one he drew of her. I don't know if he's drawn more, but that was the first one that he's done.
Oh, actually, I think the first one is when they're both like met for the first time. He had the sword to her throat because he has that drawing as well.
Oh,
Whether or not
that's
he drew that
right.
At some point, I feel like he probably drew that pretty close, like pretty much.
Yeah,
After
you're
that
right.
encounter, but this is like the first solo drawing of her, and I remember the exact panel it's for. It was when
she was smiling
after Harvey's death, and he was like offering to find who did it for her, and she just kind of smiled at him, and she just it made him feel things. That was like the first bit of him kind of experiencing like that warmth that he talked about. It's just like boy,
so good.
I mean, it's wild that even him touching just a sketch of Lauren, he still imagines that it's coming away with blood, which is obviously how he views himself. And I think everybody is right what you all said earlier, that Lauren will be the first person to make a physical move when they get to that stage, because this is still how he sees himself. Like, he can't even touch a sketch without seeing traces of his
blood on his hands. Exactly.
Right. So let alone touch her real face, right, or express any
I
physical.
want him to touch her real face. I want
So
this to
bad.
be a parallel.
Touch your face. Well, when I saw this panel after just being like devastated, like wrecked emotionally, my dumbass read it in like a spiritual sense that she like stayed and saved his soul and his humanity. And then on my reread, I was like, he was just talking about the factory arc. He's talking about literally she stayed and saved me from the fire. But I would like to see it both ways.
Yeah,
it can be both ways. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think it's
I
both
agree.
ways. She stayed and saved my humanity.
Also, just how sad is it that like him even just like being shocked that she would stay back and save him, right? Because he thanked her specifically in like 112, one of my favorite episodes, when he went to check in on her after she went back home, and how she was like, thank you for checking in on me. He's like, thank you for pulling me out of that fire. Like, he fully just does not expect people to care about him, to give him any sort of concern, be like, anything like that. And then Lauren literally,
who else
like,
in his life would do that?
Exactly.
Lauren did, and he is still floored by that, because he's like, it's so sad to think that even after everything they went through and stuff, he still would have been like, yeah, she would have left me in the fire. Like, no, of course she wouldn't leave you in the fire. She cares about you. And it's just like, he doesn't see it. And
she forgave him so much faster than he forgave himself.
Yeah, he
Or-
hasn't forgiven himself.
No,
No,
yeah,
I mean, he
hasn't
hasn't. I mean, in
Uh,
'93, she's like, come on, partner, let's shake on it, put this behind us. And then everything that happened in the factory arc, everything that happened post factory arc, like she is over it as far as we know.
mhm.
She has not thought about 43 since I don't even know the last time she thought about it. Not since after they resolved
It's
things.
been a while.
But
Yeah.
he has, like, he just now thought about it again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was also something I noticed, and I just remembered, we don't see him seeing this blood on his hands until right after 43, in episode 45, one of my other favorite episodes. That is the first time we see the blood on his hands thing. So in a way,
Oh,
like, that's like, I mean, I guess that's the first time we sort of see in his head, I guess, how he perceives himself, but I feel like the guilt that he feels about Lauren specifically and all that is just like so big and fresh in his brain that it's kind of like the main thing that he thinks about now. And it kind of like, yeah, I'm a terrible human being and I've done so many terrible things and I'm awful. I can't even look my face in the mirror without remembering all the blood that I've spilled. Can't even get get chocolate on my fingers without thinking of it as blood. And I'm just like,
Well, I think because Lauren's the only person he's ever hurt that he sees again. Everyone else he hurts, they die.
It's gone, yeah.
They're dead. So I think he's not used to having to face them again, like on a pretty regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
You got a point. That's a solid point.
Oh dear. So yeah, he takes his hand away, clenches it, and so we have another shot of him looking there down at the painting. And now he's remembering all their close interactions, remembering when in the factory when they hugged, a new panel where he's looking at her waiting
Oh
for
my god, that would kill me. I was hoping that we would get that, but I mean, that episode was so far back. I never thought we were ever going to get any additional. Like, I really wanted his point of view when all of that was going on. Like, him just looking at Lauren and taking care of her. So the fact that we got this is like Christmas. Ugh.
So good.
Gorgeous. Oh, amazing. And him hugging her at the circus. Oh. And now he's sneaking back to the circus and he thinks, I felt like witnessing something I never should have. She wouldn't have wanted me to. And she's screaming, he's dead. And we see his concerned expression. She always keeps it together. But in that moment, she was so vulnerable. It was painful to see her hurt so much, to see her so haunted. Oh, and she's screaming, he's dead. And now he looks around and thinks again. And that night, and we've had this line before, and we see, that panel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And we see the time when the sword is like their first encounter when he almost killed her. And he thinks again on that night, I didn't know why I hesitated. Huh. So interesting. Before it says I don't know why I hesitated. Now it says I didn't know why I hesitated.
Now it's like past tense, which makes me think like, does he know?
Does he know?
Why he has?
I thought he knew. Just she made her feel human.
Human, right? But that's afterwards. How could that 5 point millisecond like glance at her make him feel human?
Yeah, that's what the why did I hesitate thing is one of my biggest questions, because so far we've gotten like, I don't know why I hesitated, like all that stuff. But the prologue clearly said, like, whenever we see that scene, like, I don't know why, but you hesitated. Had I known, everything would have been different. It's like, there's something there.
He has seen her eyes before. He remembered her eyes.
Well, I have a theory based on like the panels that it goes the flashbacks. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Well, let's
Okay.
So she asks him, this is when they're on the bridge, and she asks him, do you know what happened to them? Or if there were others, right? He's talking about the kids in the car. And he says, oh yes, the kidnapped kids. He has that bitter expression. The tale is known within the Phantom Sight, which is the most weird way of wording things ever. As we discussed.
I mean, he's gonna avoid those lies, like as if he's doing the driving test. He has to be like,
I think he does weird, like phrase things really weird sometimes, and I think it's to evade the lies. Yeah.
And he says and we have that beautiful shot on the bridge. They're dead. So Emily, when did you want to do your theorizing?
I mean, so just based on that sequence of like the flashback. So first he goes into on that night, I didn't know why I hesitated. And before it was usually, I don't know why. But I didn't know why implies there's a reason now, that he knows something now, that he has pieced something together maybe. And then when he immediately then goes into the flashback of her asking about the kidnapped kids. And then there was the previous flashback of her, crying for someone, saying, he's dead as a child. I'm wondering now if like
he's pieced it together.
It's like the theory that like, he maybe saw Dylan and Lauren, playing on the pier that day and sketched them or painted them. I'm wondering if now that is holding up, and now he's like, wait a minute, she's still she has this trauma based on losing a friend. And I wonder if now he's just piecing it together, like, was it Dylan, and did he also know Dylan, when they were, if he was also kidnapped.
You just gave me an idea for what that painting could be. Let's read the next thing, right? Now he thinks, he's remembering it.
The one that he's about to smash. Mm-hmm.
Someone saying, don't let them turn you into a monster. You aren't one. Kieran, please don't let them, which sounds like the protectee, right? It sounds like the kid is looking at it.
Right.
And he's looking at that, which looks like a mirror, but probably not a mirror. It's the famous painting.
The glare.
Yeah, it's just a glare.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking at it. That one is completely eye height. Lauren's a little lower. That one is completely eye level.
Yeah.
And now we have like
The two most stunning panels.
Yeah.
How the heck did she draw so much emotion?
Mm-hmm.
You can see in that first one the way that his jaw is like kind of clenching. You can see that. That doesn't.
And his eyes, it's like he's almost like, it's like the furrowedness of his brow, the clenching of the jaw and the neck, and then he takes a breath, and it's just like, oh, it's so good.
His lips are down to her, and he's like this. Feels like his lips are trembling, like he's trying to hold back.
Yeah.
When you try to take a deep breath when you're on the verge of tears, but you feel like the tears in your throat, you feel it all closed up, you feel your eyes begin to sting, you feel like the tension in your like face and your head, and it's captured. It's crazy.
Like the light coming through the window behind him.
I just realized that, like, remember I was talking about the light behind him earlier when he was a child, and how that kind of shows like his purity. This light is so much more blue, and I think that's kind of like his sad, like, his like he's just sad and upset about like the life that he's had to lead and all that stuff, and it's just it's, and then thinking about this person that he couldn't protect, because he's thinking about Lauren and how her being close to him is dangerous for her. And then he looks at this picture, it's presumably of like the person he cares about or something that happened in the past. And it's just reminding him of what he could lose if he doesn't put some distance between them.
Right.
Yeah. And this next panel, I think this is where I teared up by seeing this. I think I also put my phone down again from here, because he's clearly crying over here. This is the first time we've seen him cry.
Yeah.
He didn't cry when he like cut his thing off of his arm. He didn't cry for being like tortured. At least maybe like the later torture. I'm assuming we've seen parts of where he does cry, like in flashbacks in previous episodes as a child. But yeah, this is the first time we see him cry as an adult. I think he's the last of the main four we've seen cry, which sucks because we've seen Lauren, Kim, Will, now Kieran's joined that. That just kind of shows like the strength of will he has over his own body, where he can repress everything, but this is all just building up too much now, and he's becoming overwhelmed by just remembering things in his past and thinking about Lauren and how much he cares about her so much that he can't afford to see her in any sort of danger because of him. But we know that Fossil 7 is about to use her against him again, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle him realizing that he is going to be in this position again, and that someone he loves is going to be used to force him to do things that he wouldn't want to do. He'll do it definitely to save them, but it's like I don't think I like seeing him in that position again might actually break him.
It's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be absolutely
Yeah.
brutal. I just and the guilt, just the guilt that he's gonna feel. He already has so much guilt.
And it's gonna add to it for sure.
Yeah, but he's gonna go into like attack mode. He's gonna do everything he can to get her back, or whatever happens to her.
And he wouldn't even care about like what happens to him. He just would like do anything to save her. And I think that might lead to him exposing himself to like Kim and Will, or Duncan and Tristan, or like doing something in the, like I don't know. He'd probably do anything.
Definitely, I could see him doing something like much riskier than he normally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like before, I don't think he would have hesitated, to harm or kill someone if Lauren was in danger.
We've seen it.
But now I like really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now it's like really he will not hesitate. If
no, if Redcliffe takes her, he's like, fuck that shit. I'm going out.
Yeah, like now it's really not.
Oh, I just thought of something. So like Redcliffe is the one who's obviously gonna take her, right? What if instead of turning to one of those people, he might turn to Bella potentially, because she knows Seven better than anybody, knows better about how his like faction works and stuff. He could potentially turn to her for help with that, which is how I keep trying to think. I keep thinking about Lauren and Naira in the cave, and Naira saying he's dead. How does Naira get involved in this? So I'm trying to like find ways to see how that would work out.
My current theory is that Redcliffe is going to use Raphael to get Lauren. So I think Raphael is going to kidnap or do something with Lauren, and then Kieran is going to team up.
Sorry, I meant to mute myself. Sorry.
So yeah, I think Kieran is gonna go to Bella and basically beg her, because she owes him, right? Like she said, like, oh, I haven't forgotten that I owe you for something. So he's gonna call in that favor.
Yeah,
he's definitely gonna call in that favor, and maybe that ties Naira in somehow too with the whole scenario, because. Yeah, because he's gonna go like, oh, your ex-girlfriend is snooping around Redcliffe, like let's get some info. I don't know, it all ties in somehow, but that's what I think is gonna happen. I think the point of Raphael characters at this point is gonna be he's gonna be put in the really difficult position of following orders or realizing that the person that he has to go after or kidnap or do whatever with is his little brother's best friend.
Yeah, his best friend.
And someone that he presumably knew too, growing up.
That's a really good theory.
Like that, like it's just gonna put him in a really difficult position, and we're just gonna have to see how he deals with that.
I had another theory too, by the way. I totally forgot to say it at the right place. But the guy who we all thought was the leader, I thought maybe, what if he is Chandelier Man? And Chandelier Man was originally part of the PS, and then after that incident sees like, oh wow, this is what's going on, and he wants to get out. And
interesting.
Oh yeah, because then you were that boy,
right? Yeah, so he's hooded, right? So he doesn't necessarily, and also like if he would have left, he doesn't necessarily know what happened to him. He just knows Apostle 4 like was training this kid that whose face he never saw to be part of the PS. And then, so let's say when he grows up, the PS sends him to kill the Chandelier Man, because at this point he's no longer supportive of the PS. And then he's like, whoa, you were that boy. And he tells him, don't lose your humanity, don't let them make you who you are, because he really isn't like a terrible person. So I don't.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
I just thought maybe
he was the original apostle and left.
Like maybe he was one of the people that went after him and the protectee, or Dylan, whoever it was, when they escaped. He could just be somebody that worked for.
Maybe he was an original apostle, and then he left because he didn't want to.
He could be, but also there's that whole thing. Well, he's in a very rich house, so he could very well be an apostle. But there's a thing where he's like, they blackmailed you too.
Yeah, he says that. He says they blackmailed you too, which means they've been blackmailing him for a while, and then something got to a point where they just decided to kill him anyways.
Maybe he was one of those apostles that was like a survivor of the print shop, who was an original Snapdragon member, and he's kind of like involved now, so he's kind of been forced to be an apostle of the Phantom Scythe. So then he's killed, because remember they were originally 12 and now they're 7, and they said some of them were assassinated. So imagine, and that's why they picked
Didn't
Kieran,
he
because
also
Kieran
say
can
some of
kill.
them killed themselves?
Yeah, I think so.
He
Mm.
I
said
think
some of
so.
them killed themselves too, which is interesting.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mm.
well, like I don't know, there's so many things. I don't know. But yeah, that is a very interesting theory. Because yeah, you were that boy. Why would this guy know?
Yeah,
Maybe-
that implies like there's a past relationship there.
I was
Mhm.
gonna say maybe it's
Recognized
Robin
him,
Delaney.
but he
Kieran
didn't
didn't know him
know.
though. He recognized
my
Kieran, but I don't
thing.
think Kieran recognized him. You don't get the sense
Ooh.
that Kieran feels any relationship with this guy,
He's just like, I don't want to kill someone.
right?
I don't
Which
know. I
begs
got
the
the sense
question.
that he, well, I don't know. Maybe that's just because he was crying because he didn't want to kill him. You definitely got the sense he didn't want to do it, but maybe
Right.
he felt that way because he recognized him too. I don't know. I feel like it could go either way,
Mm.
that he knew him or didn't know him, but he knew Kieran.
But he had to recognize Kieran. He, it wasn't like he knows Kieran. He was like,
No,
oh,
he just recognized him.
Recognized
Yeah.
him. Mhm.
yeah. That'll be
That's
an
a really good. Yeah, that's a good point.
And we know it's not Robin Delaney.
Yeah, because Delaney was killed like shortly after the explosion,
ATST.
right? Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
maybe it was Robin Delaney, but yeah, he died pretty close after that whole thing. So maybe this was one of the people who, like, kidnapped him, held him down when he had to get branded. There's so many possibilities. We saw something that he shouldn't have seen, like, I don't know, Phantom Sight. Like, they're gonna die anyways if they want them dead, like Sandman said. So I watched Chandelier Man have like the most interesting backstory. Like,
Yeah, no, he definitely has something, because why else would he be there?
We still have so many, like, we got so much information in this one, more than most, right?
Yeah.
Like, we got
Yeah.
little sprinkles of tidbits. This one we got a lot of information, but
Still so many questions.
I
we're
was
not even
hoping,
done yet.
I was just hoping we'd at least like know who the protectee is or see the painting.
Okay,
Just
so
to-
should we finish the painting part so we can talk about it?
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So he, after that devastating expression where he's crying, he runs over to the painting, grabs it, lifts it up above his head with this magnificent
Such
shot.
a good panel.
One thing, I don't know whether or not this was a mistake on Soph's part, because in
Yeah,
fact
this-
there's no scars, no bandages.
Oh
and
yeah, there's no
everything.
bandage. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no, but then
even
in the
though-
next scene there is.
But yeah, before and after that there is, and on the one hand, like, okay, that could just be a mistake by Soph, but in a way, it could be just kind of a more visceral, personal sort of thing. So maybe it's like, I don't know, him not having all those marks on his back, like him not physically bearing that trauma, and him sort of like lifting that up and looking like he's gonna throw it down, is him kind of trying to get a catharsis out of it, like not think
Mm.
about that sort of thing. I don't know, but it's more likely a mistake. But it's,
Well,
I
it's
like to
gorgeous
think
the
there's
way
more
it
than
is.
one reason.
Yeah. What
Oh,
a
it
great
is.
panel.
I'm not gonna. I mean, the bandage would have kind of ruined the effect, so I'm
Yeah.
fine with it the way that it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's a stunning.
Yeah, what a great
stunning
panel.
show.
Did
And
y'all
he-
watch her on stream when she was
Yes,
drawing this one?
yes.
She
I
was
don't really watch
so-
the stream very
She
often.
was so frustrated. She could not get his hand right.
Oh.
Oh,
It looks great.
No,
Yeah,
the one
that's a really
where she
tough
kept
position.
saying like, I can't. She said that she kept picking up books or something to try to
Yeah.
figure out like how do you
Hold the
and then
frame.
and then
Yeah.
everybody in the chat was like, we're all randomly picking up stuff like, how would you draw? Yeah, it was just really funny. She's like, I cannot draw this today.
Yeah,
It
and
looks good.
right. The Soph's ability to draw the anatomy and muscles has increased like dramatically.
these
They used to
back
be like
muscles are
lines.
incredible. Yeah, the back muscles
No,
are
like anatomy is so hard.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. I don't
Yeah,
know.
when I did art in school, like I did art for 2 years in high school. My high school was very invested in like art stuff, so I had really great teachers and stuff. Drawing people was so hard, getting the proportions and everything correctly, and Soph can just do a few lines and immediately have things like pretty spot on to how they should be. I mean, obviously she'll like undo and then redo and like all that to get it like as she wants it, but it's like her ability is just fantastic to like get the anatomy, but also like again facial expressions. That man's face right there behind you, Mindy. Like,
Oh my god.
what reference did she use? Did she just think of that? Like,
That's a good point. Like, did she just think of that? Did she copy a photo of
people.
the face? Like, it's just incredible. It's so cool to see how far she's come, like from the beginning of the comic, and then like if y'all read Life, like her first comic,
Yeah.
it
Started after.
comes so far.
Yeah, which is, it's very inspiring because, you know, a lot of us when we start out, I don't, you know, it's like, I don't know about you
Oh,
guys, but
yeah,
I'm
for
like,
sure.
I suck, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Drop it.
Just
Yeah.
keep at it. Mhm. Yeah, so I was like so afraid that he would bust this painting. We would
And
never,
we're never gonna see it. That's what I was thinking. I was like, he's gonna bust it. We're never gonna see it. This is
yeah.
So luckily, this is another fake out, a good one. Is he's holding it and he's grasping it. Oh my god, it's so sad. He's
Why
shaking.
did he
and he's
hesitate?
gasping, and he's like, oh,
Kieran.
Oh.
baby, shaking all over,
Oh.
everywhere. Oh. And he puts it down, and then he like puts it on the floor, and he thinks to himself, "People die around me." And now you see he's like utterly dejected. He's sitting, crouching on the floor, and just like looking into the painting, like for holding it for dear life.
Right.
Beautiful
that's
how he's
shadow
crying.
coming out.
It's like mourning almost, like the like him
Yes.
sitting cross-legged in front
does
of it
feel
with his
very-
hand. It's very like mourning-esque.
Like
Yeah.
a memorial or an altar, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very mournful.
And he
Mm.
says, "I refuse to let her be hurt too." So this painting, whoever it is, it seems like it's the protectee, like we've speculated to get now, especially because he says that like he's thinking, first of all, he couldn't break it, which means this person is dear to him. And
Yeah.
he's thinking, you know, my protectee was her. I can't let this happen to her too.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And we
Also,
know
the fact-
from his dream that he had of Lauren where she died, he
Mm.
said, what did he say? He was like, not you too, not
Mm.
this
Yeah.
again. And so it seems like the protectee might have died at his hand by mistake, or they forced him or something.
Mhm.
But he was definitely the unintentional cause
Mhm,
of the protectee dying.
Mm.
probably.
And then also just the fact that he took it down, but he doesn't replace it. He has to turn it around so that he can't see it and props it up on the wall.
Really?
Yeah, because
Oh,
that's
I
the
see, with the
backing. It's
gold.
just
Yeah, it's turned
the
around.
canvas. Yeah, you
Mhm.
just see like the texture of the canvas, right? So he's turned it around, but he can't look at it. And I'm just thinking, he hung it on that wall, big and in the middle of that wall where he would see it at eye level every time he leaves
Yeah.
that room, with this beautiful gilded like frame on it. And just think he probably put that as a reminder, as a memorial, like we said, but it's like looking at it now just makes him think about all of his shortcomings, all of the things he couldn't protect, and then also reminds him that if he continues to let Lauren in, he will, like, she might experience the same fate. And that thought, he can't even like think about that, so he has to literally take it off the wall, and rather than just destroy it, he just turns it around so he doesn't have to look at it and props it up on the wall, on the floor. And I just think that just says so much about like his headspace, and like this thing that he once used as a reminder, as like something to keep him going, potentially he can't even look at right now because it brings up too many things that are beginning to seemingly happen again in his life, and he can't take that right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, this Soph and F are really getting good at using the visuals and the symbols like to express these really profound ideas. It's very amazing. But Emily, what you said earlier makes me think, what if this drawing is the drawing that he maybe drew of Lauren and Dylan running around?
That's
And
what
that was
I
like humanity, people playing, love, laughter, you know, all the sweet things about life.
I was playing around with that idea in the server last night. I think I saw other people talking about it as well. Like, where would he have kept that? Because he, like, if he brought it with him, like, how could he have hidden it in that disgusting place? What if it's, well, we don't know if it's even fully intact or anything.
Maybe he
Like,
redid it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe
he
it
redid
kept
it.
him. Maybe
Yeah.
he redrew
I mean,
it and it kept his.
it could be tattered
Okay,
in the
but
frame even.
we don't know when the protectee died. And if we have confirmation that Kieran was 16 when he was out he's outside.
Wasn't he wearing the same thing, by the way?
He was wearing a pinstripe shirt.
He was wearing like a pinstripe shirt.
Right. Was
Yeah.
he wearing that in the 14 in the other episode? Like the Lauren and Dylan running around episode?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know
have
if we
that.
saw exactly what he was wearing.
Yeah.
But okay, so if we're under the assumption that he got kidnapped at 14, they're training him to be the PH, he's getting some kind of respite or having some kind of independence where he's in the Phantom Scythe and being trained, but he's allowed to still indulge in his art. I think the protectee is still alive and whatever he was drawing or painting, and I think that might have been the protectee that was saying, you know, Kieran, why are you always drawing?
Oh, interesting.
Seems like that could be the art that he has, and then the protectee dies later. I think that we're putting things way too back to back in his timeline. I think they were spaced out.
Yeah.
Okay,
because Bella knew about the protectee and he didn't start training with her. Like we have that flashback. He's definitely at least 16.
Yeah, he's definitely older.
Yeah.
You know,
I began thinking
that
that
the protectee stayed alive longer than we think.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that could totally be it. I just think it's interesting, like the sequence of flashbacks. He had this episode where, you know, he says he didn't know why he hesitated. And it started with Lauren being, you know, really upset when she was hypnotized, to her asking about the kidnapped kids. I don't know. It just feels like, I feel like Kieran is connecting dots, but I just don't know what those dots are.
Yeah, I agree, because he goes from
Oh no, you go ahead, Mindy.
Yeah, no, I think that you're right about the flashbacks that he's connecting, that, you know, she was upset about someone and then he remembers the kidnapped kids and hesitating. Like it's, I agree. I'm wondering.
I think like do you think he knows at all that it's her?
No, wait, actually, I just remembered this. In, like, what is it, 104, right before the finale episode, when she's about to have a panic attack, she begins, like, hitting her bullet wound to get her out of it. And she's like, sorry, this isn't my first time. I've been, like,
here before.
There's been, like, something with, like, an explosion. He's like, wait, what do you mean? I wonder if he just has that in the back of his mind. Like, what other explosion would she have been around? And then, like, you know, the pieces coming together, potentially, subconsciously in his mind. Because we haven't seen him flash back to that instance yet. So I don't know, but it could be.
I don't know. Somebody said something interesting in the Discord where he said when he's looking at the photo directly, the painting, and he's going, what the hell am I doing with her? They saw it as she's in the painting. He knows who she is, and he's going, how did I get involved with her? Like, how did we get to this point? And at first I went, no, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, wait.
What if, you know, we know that Dylan had a little crush on her, right? Remember, he's like, oh, we have the daisy chain, he's beautiful. What if you think, what am I doing with her? Like, she's Dylan's girl. How can I take her?
That way, but I mean, everybody's kind of gone back and forth on the whole, like, what is it, the bitch Kieran theory? Like, if he knew.
I hate that theory. I don't agree with that. Sorry.
I don't either, but basically, I don't think he knew who she was or went after her specifically on purpose, because
she was just there that night,
right? He was about to slice her neck and he stopped and didn't know why he hesitated. But
he offered her
like, at this point, he knows who she is in regards to, like, let's just call it Dylan. Like, let's just say Dylan's the protectee. Like, I feel like he's pieced it together, and maybe that's what he means. Like, what the hell am I doing? Like, how did we get to this point with her?
You know, and then, I had a thought and now it's gone. I hate my ADD so much. We were talking about, like, the protectee and Lauren, and if it was her in the door. Yeah, he's the one. Like, one thing I always found interesting was how quickly he was like accepting of her ability. Because like he pretty much was like, yeah, you can like tell lies immediately. It's like, how are you so ready to like accept that? Other
Well,
than
he said that he
him seeing
noticed
her
it in the cafe, and I'm like, you had to really be paying attention to specifically at her and know that she had this ability to even think that.
Yeah, like
no average person would see that scenario and go, she can tell that he's lying.
Yeah, she has a secret.
Yeah, that's why that is one of the things where I'm like, he could like just remember his bestie talking about this girl that he grew up with and how she can like tell lies and stuff. But I don't know. There's so the thing, if Dylan is the protectee, there's so many things that can go back and forth. Because on the one hand, it's like, how could he not know why he hesitated if he was immediately like, oh, that's the girl that like Dylan used to talk about, da, 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 and that's how he so easily got on board with like her being able to tell lies and was so ready to like offer her this deal and all this stuff. But then on the other hand, it's like, well, why else would he be like that? Like, there's so many things where it's like there's points in either way, and we just don't have all of the pieces yet to really make it make sense.
I feel like it's so suspicious that he was gone overseas and the first day back, he's in the cafe and he finds her.
Well, that's
I don't know. I feel like there's something going on there. I think come back to find her, like didn't know exactly who she was, like her name or anything, or just was like, I need to find the girl that.
Then like
the whole
thing that led to their deal was like arbitrary. She just happened to be called because she was nearby in the area. You know, I don't know. Kim and Will could have run after all the other police people that could have run after him, but only she did.
Yeah, no, there's too many factors involved where he'd need to get her alone specifically to be able to like offer this. I don't think there was any sort of premeditation.
Like she's the one that ran after him. She was the only one quick enough. Like there were too many different. Like it could have been anybody, right?
Exactly.
That could have gone after him.
Yeah, I don't think he knew going in that he was gonna like talk to her or see her or offer her this deal. No, like, because again, he was shocked and he hesitated. But why? And then I don't know. I've seen a lot of people be like, I'll be pissed off if it's Dylan, and I hope it's Dylan. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm fine with either one. Again, trust the process. I'm very much a trust the process.
I know. I'm just the story's been so phenomenal so far. I trust whatever it is that they're gonna do because everything's been so great. But it's kind of like what we were discussing with like who fits the profile to be Apostle 4. That's how I feel about the protectee. Like I don't it's not Will, it's not Raphael, it can't be Dana, it wasn't Kim. Like unless it's an unknown kid that they're bringing in. And they've also said, like, I think we can rule out that it's any kind of sibling because they called him
a friend,
the protectee a friend.
Yeah.
Unless they were hiding that they were siblings to protect each other, but which is possible.
I mean,
I don't know if they could hide it that long if they looked really similarly. So it just makes me think it has to be Dylan. I'll honestly be really shocked if it's not, because I don't know who else other than a brand new character it would be.
And at this point, I mean, introducing brand new characters, they only do it every so often. And I mean,
and then they kill them off.
They introduced Allison and she died like a few episodes later. So I think for like the emotional impact, it most likely is someone that we know, who would it be?
Oh, awesome.
So good. I have so many.
This episode is great. The last few episodes have been amazing.
Yeah, no, it's been bangers like the past couple of weeks. Like it keeps topping itself.
Like absolutely. Well, what do we think is gonna happen the next? Like, what direction are we going in from?
I feel like
I think we'll do like not serious. Like it'll be maybe investigating, like you said, the circus. Not circus. Investigating the
opera house.
Right,
yeah. I feel like this is gonna be the last Loki we get for a bit. I don't think we're gonna get any next episode, which sucks. But like I feel like this sort of ending kind of implies that we're gonna be focusing on other things now. Maybe we'll focus on Kim in the hospital and Will doing he probably knows her parents already. Like
Wait, we've got to ask a crucial question. What do we think Kieran is going to do to distance himself from Lauren. Because how? What? Like, how's he going to do that? They're supposed to be
Yeah,
investigating
I mean,
together.
I was about to say he could quit being being the archivist, but can he do that without
supposed to be a mole.
arousing suspicion? Yeah.
Like, if he
He
just
could-
stopped showing up to work, Lauren would be like, where are you? What's going on? But he could just peace out. But I don't know what he could do without orders.
Wait, maybe that's why Mira's in the cave saying he's dead. Maybe he tries to pretend he's dead.
Well, that's what I think that
Mira-
it's possible. I think he could have a fake out.
Are they gonna
God.
do the
I
season
don't want
finale
that,
where they
but-
imply that he's dead and he's faking his death, and I have to wait for months to find out whether or not this son of a bitch is alive? The audacity of that man. It's something he
No,
would
I
fully
really,
do.
really hope they don't do that to us, because that would be so frustrating, because we know he's alive.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating. And they tried to do that with the like Loon's dead, and we're like, we know Loon's not dead.
Yeah.
They're the main characters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe he'll just become more emotionally distant. Like, he'll be like, hey, listen, I just want to meet up for work. I mean, he'll only talk about work things if Lauren is like kind of still a bit more casual and like kind of how they are with their like current dynamic, and Kieran's pulling back and Lauren's gonna be like, you okay? Like, what's going on? He's like, no, we must not. We must not. Like,
But
Yeah, I
don't
could
wanna
see I
that.
could see her being like kind of, like flirty or whatever their dynamic's been lately, and he just is kind of curt,
Like brushes it off.
pulls back,
Yeah.
and she's like, but of course Lauren's gonna go into detective mode. She's not just gonna leave it alone. She's gonna be like, what's your deal? What happened? What's going
it's
on?
gonna be like a breakup, but not even like they weren't even together. But he's gonna be like, hey, we're just working. I
Yeah.
don't want anything else. He's gonna flip the script because Lauren was like, I don't want anything to do with you outside of what we have to do here, like all that stuff. Now he's gonna be
No
like,
personal
Oh, God.
questions.
Oh no.
I
it's gonna be
don't
like,
know. I feel
shut up.
like he could.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I'll
we
be
got
sad. I don't
shoulder,
wanna see him do
shoulder
that.
touches. Are we now? He's gonna go back.
We're just reverting back. We're just.
Yeah.
2 steps forward, 1
will
step
he
forward, 2
even
steps
have a
back.
chance to be able to
Yeah.
pull back before Raphael picks up Lauren? Oh my God. Oh, like maybe they do, and Lauren's like annoyed or whatever, and that's when she gets picked up by Raphael, and it's
Oh.
and the last time they talked would have been like her being annoyed at him, mad at him, and then she's getting captured because of him, and Kieran's about to have a mental breakdown and go monster mode.
Yes.
And it looks like
What if
Mhm.
Lauren is captured and he has to listen to Redcliffe, and he has to turn himself in for the parlay?
Oh no! Oh no!
There's a
Oh my
problem
gosh.
now.
That is
More loss of autonomy.
drama.
Oh.
That's a theory I've had for a while now, that Kieran is some kind of pawn in the parlay situation.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that.
Ow. Yeah.
And
That
then
is good.
them being exposed for being Loon in front of all of the major
Everybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yo.
God.
Mhm.
Whoa.
That would be so dramatic. Woo.
Oh my God.
Oh my god. If that happens, I will just lose my mind.
Yeah. And then that's the season finale. Oh God.
Wait, where are we up to in terms of episodes?
We're like
136 to
36.
start.
We've got like 15 to 20-ish
Okay.
Already?
already.
Oh wow.
I feel like it just started back.
It does, but it's
so
August
spoiled.
now. It started in February. It's been more than half a year, which is crazy to
No,
think
it
about.
felt like yesterday.
It
That's
felt,
wild.
like, it felt like 2 months ago, and the hiatus felt like 5 years. Like,
Yeah, that's how every hiatus feels.
Mm.
there has to be more than one more season, unless they extend it.
I feel like that there could be just one more season after this. I feel like we've learned a lot at this point, and they can
Yeah.
be really efficient with how they give us the story. And who knows, they could just be slightly longer seasons at this point. 'cause,
Yeah, maybe
oh,
like
yeah.
this one will be a couple extra, and then the last one could be
like season 2 is like 5 more episodes than
yeah, 5 to 10 or whatever. Extra.
Yeah.
Like that would be, I could see that, but just with the amount of information, like we still need to, I don't know, figure out.
We need more.
And just
We need-
selfishly, I want
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
Remember
that's why
Unless
we-
she
that's why we
finishes
wanna say-
season 4 and then we get our Albion censored words.
So, Kieran's Art Corner. What was your favorite panel? And
Ooh,
Emily, we already know yours.
Oh my god, every single one.
There were so many good ones, man.
So hard.
I
I
love the one that's behind you, Mindy.
Yeah, no, I was about to say these ones.
yeah, that's
Me
I
too.
decided that's my favorite. I mean, it's
It's so good.
impossible, but
And then you, Emily, that drawing one,
The
beautiful,
canvas,
amazing.
yeah.
Then
I don't know.
him
I'm
holding
still
her
like
hand.
I'm still really into the half-blood Shang Mulan bun. in the mirror.
Him holding her, any of the panels where he's holding her hand on his shoulder. There's like 10
Oh,
of them from like 10 different angles. So, I really like the one that he has right before his flashback, this one, because he looks so intense. And
Yes, that one's really
it's
good.
a good one.
I was like last night, I was like, what am I gonna do about the cover? There's so many.
There's
Where's
so
your
many.
oyster
I was literally
maybe?
thinking of doing like a mashup or something. But artistic photoshopping skills are non-existent basically. So
No, but I think as far as that one's probably the best, like
Yeah, that one I feel like is interesting enough to be like, click, you know? Like,
it's gonna be the cover. So yeah, I had settled with that one because that's the one that makes me cry.
it's
So
beautiful.
so good.
Yeah,
Like
and it's
those
just really
two
good.
sequential panels are breathtaking.
Phew.
Really
Solid
good.
episode, amazing episode.
Yeah, that was
So
wonderful.
happy that I signed up for this episode.
Me too.
I know. I can't believe we've gotten a good streak lately.
Mhm.
And Emily, you got your
Yeah,
Kieran
I
episode.
know. I got my 2 Kieran episodes finally.
Yes.
I've been in a bunch, so I'm just happy I got to do this one. Like, if I had to pick any of like the most recent ones, I'm glad that it was this one.
It was this one.
I forced myself onto this one. I was like, I'm joining this one.
Yeah, I told Mindy, like, I don't know if you all have this as well, but I was like, Mindy, you don't understand. If there's whatever episode they kiss for the first time and I have to be
Oh,
in
we're
that one.
on it. We're gonna have like how many
Yeah.
people are we gonna have on that
I know.
podcast?
Yeah,
Like,
we're signing up for that one.
if they kiss, I'm there. If they almost kiss, I'm there. If there's a caress or a hug, I'm there.
Yeah, the Locky Coalition here. It's like,
Oh yeah, our Instagram group chat, I named it Kieran's Ladies.
oh my god, did you?
Yeah.
Wait, let me see. Oh my
Pure
god.
simpery.
Oh, you guys have another group chat.
Oh yeah,
The last,
sorry.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can I'll
Yeah.
make
You
that
want to
one.
join the Kimpery?
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Kimpery?
I thought it was this one, but I, like,
Sorry.
honestly, I'd be down to be in that group chat.
All right.
It's basically us just sending fan art all week.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds like a great. It sounds amazing. I would love
You
to.
can join Kieran's Ladies.
Okay. Well, now we'll make this the new Kieran's Ladies. We'll rename it.
Perfect.
Here's Ladies 2.0.
Oh, okay. Kieran's harem. No, okay. The harem is.
Oh
like,
my god.
yeah.
Oh, I like Kieran's harem.
It's. I mean, just whatever. It's, the harem is not very.
Oh, did you just name it, Minnie?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, I think we're getting close to competing to the 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Oh my
of the
god.
finale.
Yeah.
We really are.
We're like 2.5 hours almost, I think.
Yeah. So yeah. I think there's another PH episode that's 2.5 hours. So we're gonna be top 3, I think.
Nice.
Oh, I just changed our group photo too.
Perfect.
You guys are gonna love that.
Okay.
Oh,
Awesome.
Oh. All right.
Amazing.
That was fantastic.
Awesome.
Kieran's Ladies.
Alright.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
wonderful
Yeah.
episode.
Oh,
Glad I
Okay.
recorded with you
And so
guys.
nice
Yeah.
chatting with you finally. Bundin.
Yes.
Yes, it was nice
Amazing.
meeting you.
Let's do this more often.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm down.
Yeah,
Okay,
nice to
let's
meet
go
you.
read In the Bleak Midwinter. That's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
Yes.
Basically.
All right. Good night. Thank you all.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you to my current patrons: Susie, Lady Libras, Lily, Jenny, Molly, Veronica, Emily, Joe, Rochelle, Saucy Tuggles, and Rose, Alexa, Misty, Joanne, Emilda, Esther, I'm Watching You People, Emily, Jean, Jen, Erin, Kay, Lily Beckett, Christine, Sadie, Kelly, Teresa, Mrs. Castaldo. Your support is truly appreciated.